Hey everybody, I'm Cafe Kaz, and today we've got Reingar's Roundtable Episode 4. Now, with 4 people, okay? So we got a little bit of extra guests on today. If everybody wants to take a second and introduce themselves. I'll start out with OnceInLuv, over to my right.
Hello. I'm OnceInLuv. I stream Epic 7 once a week, usually on Sundays. Usually about 4 times a month. I stream every single day. I have been playing since the beginning. I'll turn myself up a little bit, 1 second.
Should I turn myself down, chat? I'll turn myself down a little bit. We'll do that.
All right, is that better? I turned myself up a little bit on my gain.
It's okay. We can edit this in post, but OnceInLuv, feel free to introduce yourself. You got this. You got this.
Retry. Okay, do over. Hi, I'm OnceInLuv. Nice to see you guys. I stream Epic 7 once a week, usually on Sundays, so about 4 times a month. I stream every single day. I'm currently 336 days in a row of streaming without a single break. And I look forward to seeing you guys. I've been playing Epic 7 since the beginning. I used to be in a higher up guild in PT, and nowadays I kind of play the game a little more on the casual side, but not quite a legend player, but I can definitely hold myself against a lot of people. I can beat Gabe in a best of 3 anytime I want.
All right. I didn't think he caught that, but down to Shogun, if you want to introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? I'm Shotgun Shogun. I'm here pretty much every week, at least physically here every week. I am a gold RTA player this season. I have been trying really, really hard. That's actually not true because of the hunt buffs. I haven't even looked at anything yet, but we can talk about that later. I stream when my internet is not hot duty, which is not very often actually, especially lately. So yeah, I'm sure that you guys are well aware. You've been over to the channel. Gabe,
what's up, guys? I am xSkyking, your typical resident degenerate who bricks accounts and typical champion player that 200 IQs everything. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, but, you're a champion player.
No, I'm actually champion. I'm that much better than. No, I'm just kidding. I actually lost it OnceInLuv. He actually too old. Anyways.
Oh no.
xSkyking.
It was a meme. Pepe hands. Pepe Kaz hands.
Glad to be here. Yeah, glad to chat and chill with these boys. And got some spicy stuff, from what I saw. So, it'll be exciting.
It's good to have you this week. I'm really excited to have all of you on here today. I have some spice, and then I've got some cool. So y'all can tell me how you want me to direct the podcast. Do you want to start out with the, lighter fluff before we get into it, or do you want to dive right into some spicier questions?
I'm okay with some fluff first, pad it a bit.
Some fluff,
keep people waiting, tease them a bit.
Yeah, okay. I feel that. So
a little bit of foreplay is always nice.
Are you a master, Mr. OnceInLuv? But anyway.
Whoa,
but anyway. Respect. So, with the Q&A that just came out, we got confirmation from Smilegate themselves. A collab is on the way. New IP, okay? We're not talking Kizuna Eye. We're not talking Guilty Gear. We've got something fresh coming in the next half of a year. So I need to ask you all, what IP do you want to collab with Epic 7?
Blaze Blue.
Blaze Blue?
What?
Another fighting game?
Yeah. Yes. I would actually really like it if they kept up with the anime style fighting games, right? I feel like, and this is something I've talked about quite a bit before on my stream, and in some videos. I think that the fighting game genre adds a lot of hype, right? Mm-hmm. Guilty Gear, super hype. Blaze Blue, super hype. And it kind of feeds into the competitiveness of RTA, PvP, tournament-based things like that. Not only that, but I just really want some Blaze Blue characters.
Yeah, that could be pretty cool. I have a little bit of experience with Blaze Blue characters, only because an old arena fighter called Lost Saga had collabs with Blaze Blue and Guilty Gear back in the day. So I believe Blaze Blue is Jin, the Ice Swordsman. Am I correct? Yes, no, maybe?
Yeah, well, he's in there, yeah.
Somebody can read me for that, but, okay, yeah, that could be cool, and I like that, because the competitive nature, they have a little bit more longevity than some of the other anime collabs that some people request for. You know, a little bit of shade being thrown out there. But XSkyking, what do you think? What do you want inside the game?
Yeah, I want another Guilty Gear. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Did that come about? No, I mean, yeah, I want Kafekazi.
Me? Really? You're okay? All right. I'm ready. I'll get in there. I could take on Litica and Tenny and K-Ron. You know,
yeah. Throw some penguins at them. You know, throw some coffee at them.
Yeah, real talk though. If we ever do get another Guilty Gear collab, can we get Ram Lethal? That would be amazing.
I think everyone would want I know first before anything else at this point.
Really? I'm waiting for May. I want the Dolphins.
I want May too. I'm surprised that they didn't, but I mean, we all know that the Eno is just literally a joke. Like never not gonna be in the game.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh no.
Okay, but real talk, I think like personally, I would want to see like an anime collab. Mainly like fighting games are cool and all. You know, like there's like the Street Fighter, King of Fighters, you know, BlazBlue, Guilty Gear, all that stuff. But then like, no matter how cool they are, I think like I feel like animes still have more of an outreach, like in general, like audience wise. Like more people will, you know, have known or watched certain animes, whatnot. Like they'll be able to like pull more people in, I feel like, rather than fighting games. Like especially since we've already gotten a fighting game collab, I feel like rather than like stick with that community, getting some sort of anime collab or something would be able to like grab new players. And I think the main thing is I want the game to grow because of that. I want to, you know, grab new people. Kizuna was cool and all, but
yeah, I don't know if we got any huge growth over here in the West from Kizuna Eye, but is there a specific anime that you're looking at? Is maybe your favorite anime?
I think personally, I think the one that would fit really well would be like a Fate collab, but knowing Fate, I don't know Fate. If we would ever see one.
So hard to collab with Fate.
Fate Stay Night will put its IP into literally anything that exists.
Really?
Fate Grand Order is the one that is pure and innocent and will never collab with anything outside of the Nasuverse. I mean, if you think about it, Fate Stay Nights had collabs with like Puzzles and Dragons, Alchemist Code, Valkyrie Connect. I think there were a couple other ones. And they're very big, especially when it comes to promoting Fate Stay Night. When like a Heaven's Feel movie is going to be coming out.
That's true.
Wait a minute, doesn't the Heaven's Feel movie come out in the beginning of next year?
Very possibly, actually, yes.
Wait a minute.
Since it just came out, the most recent one just came out in Japan not too long ago. So yeah. I'm not gonna lie. If it was an anime collab, I mean, I got a little bit of history when it comes to Fate. Stuff,
yeah,
so,
true.
You know, I'm not gonna turn down a Fate Stay Night collab. I just don't know that with Fate Grand Order, if they would do something like that with a gacha game that is almost a direct competitor. Kind of with FGO.
Yeah, kind of. So, what would you like to see in Epic 7?
What would I like to see, or what do I think it's going to be?
Okay, either or. You can give me your prediction, and then give me your dream collab.
So, I think if it's an anime, I think it's going to be something like old school. So, I think it's going to be something like Sword Art Online, because realistically, it makes sense to have like the world traveling kind of idea. So it would fit the concept of Epic 7.
Oh yeah, because it could
be animated fairly well, fairly easily. If it's a video game, I think if we go for a fighting game, it's going to be like Soul Calibur or something along that lines.
Soul Calibur.
So when I say SAO is old school, I mean SAO is old school for the people that like kind of started watching anime in the last couple years, which is where like the anime video games and anime gacha games became really popular. So I think that that's a really big opportunity for a lot of people, because it draws in a lot of people who don't really play that many gacha games, but watch like kind of like the isekai style animes, which is a popular genre, even if we don't like it. For video games, I do think fighting games would be Soul Calibur. I think Soul Calibur has got a pretty good IP with that opportunity. It also kind of depends when you look at like different studios or different companies. Like if you're looking at Bandai Namco, or if you're looking at Capcom, or if you're looking at, you know, like it's all these different publishers and taking a look at their IPs, right? Like if you take Capcom IP, you have things like you have DMC, you have Mega Man, you have like what we have with Summer's War right now, we have Street Fighter, right? So I think it depends on like what overarching company they pick, and then there's a lot of different opportunities within games there. It's possible we see something from like the Persona or the Shin Megami Tensei, but I don't think that we will because of the Atlas split on it, and I don't think Atlas wants to make that collaboration.
Well, isn't Soul Calibur something similar? I don't know if you mentioned that. I had to change my headset real quick, but isn't Soul Calibur kind of like Smash Bros? Where they? Because I remember in one of the Soul Cals they had Darth Vader in there.
Right? Yeah, so they bring in a couple like unique characters, but it's definitely not as much of a collapse. It is kind of its own game, and then there's like more stuff added. It's not quite like Smash, where like Smash is just an amalgamation of a lot of different IPs and games.
Okay. Well, if I could have any game, I would have Fire Emblem. Okay, I was talking to Sun Juan about it this morning, and I feel like the Fire Emblem characters would fit well just because of like the fantasy. They collab with a lot of different games. I believe they collab with Dragalia Lost. I think most recently, and they have their own
games, that's why.
Oh, yeah, I
Dragalia
forgot.
is run and owned by Nintendo.
Nintendo
only on Nintendo devices.
True, and it's hard to get Nintendo to do anything.
You probably won't
actually
get anything from Nintendo. I'm sorry.
No. Okay, well that ruins my dreams.
Nope, for a reason.
Oh, come on, Nintendo, dude. Nintendo always reams everybody with everything. They need to release more products, honestly. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a shame.
Square Enix is a pretty realistic opportunity. Square Enix loves to collab with everybody. Nier is probably like one of the most popular collaborated games ever. Or I guess IP is not really game. The IP is very popular.
Yeah, I've seen Nier in a lot of different games and stuff like that. But
if they did the collab with Episode 3, it would also make sense because there's a lot of mecha related content in Chapter 3, and Nier is very meta sci-fi focused.
Yeah, I could see it. I'm really hyped, though, if they do end up doing Fate Stay Night, like Shogun said. I love Heaven's Feel so far, and I think it's going to be my one true route waiting for that third movie to drop. And I think it'll be really cool.
It's real good. I may have watched the Japanese version, but it's real good, and you're right. I could see that. I do think, though, it would be very interesting, and I do think that it would be interesting to see what characters that they give us, because I mean, there's no amount of money that I would spare to get a triple S Gilgamesh if put into the game for sure. Actually, that would generate so much money for Epic 7. The problem is I don't know if they would collab with Epic 7. I think that would be really the big linchpin there, is if they would come over into that one. But real talk, though, I think it's going to be the Katy Perry collab.
The Katy Perry collab.
You used to play FFE, didn't you?
I was about to say the Ariana Grande collab. Yeah. Realistically,
those were
they canceled the Ariana Grande one because that relationship ended between Gumia Lim and Ariana Grande, so that's why they picked up Katy Perry. I was there at the Fan Festa when they announced that Katy Perry was going to be.
Oh man.
Well, also, I saw this in chat before I move on to the next topic. A lot of people, or I saw somebody mention Azur Lane because the Japanese, I believe Epic 7 is run by Yostar, so I could see that as well. Azur Lane kind of fits that Episode 3 mecha waifus. We already saw the one with the Gundam. They basically look like Azur Lane characters already, right?
That actually is true. Yeah. They look like Azur Lane already, some of them.
Yeah, so I could see it coming in.
Potentially see maybe an Arknights as well, since Yostar's very hands-on with Arknights as well.
If you add Arknights to this game, I'm going to be poor. That's confirmed. I will just be poor, no matter what.
And
Arknights units are really cool.
Yeah, Arknights has the very similar aesthetic as well that could fit very well. I mean, yeah, both of those would be just super, super good.
Yeah, I would love to see it. I can't wait to hear what they're going to do, and I can't wait for that anime to eventually drop since they confirmed that as well. But moving on to the next question. Question number 2, a little bit more spicy. Also staying on to the questionnaire because we never got a chance to talk about it. Nerfs are confirmed. You can literally control F search nerf in that questions, and they have said they're going to be doing it on a 4-week rotation basis within the 5-week buff and nerf cycle. So, do y'all think nerfs are going to be good for the game? We haven't gotten a nerf in a long time, since Arbiter Vildred days, and some people still believe that he's overtuned. I personally want his mischance decreased back to 75%, but that's just me. All right, if anybody wants to pick that up.
Yeah, actually, I think that, I mean, it is a healthy cycle for the game, right? As long as it's not to the point where the nerf literally makes the unit unplayable, regardless of what Reddit and the rest of the community says is unplayable. I mean, you still see people right now that say that, you know, Champ Zerato is a dead unit, but that's obviously not true. But I do think that tuning things up and down, I think, is better for the overall life cycle of the game in terms of not having to specifically put out nothing but counter units, right? So if they can allow for nerfs, that means they don't have to build an entire unit just to counter SSB. And maybe this will open them up to more creative new units instead of everybody just going, oh, well, this is a direct counter to this unit. Although they'll still say that because, I mean, with the sheer amount of units that are in the game, literally if a character does anything that even remotely touches another unit, they're like, oh, look, another Bazaar counter.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Holiday Euphine was the hardest Bazaar counter that I have ever seen in my life.
True.
Yeah, any other takes on that? I personally think that it's going to be good for the game overall.
I think we're all in the same perspective on that. Like, nerfs do have longevity to the game, and it's really important to have it, right?
Wait. No devil's advocate? Nobody saying nerfs are bad?
I will
I'm
never
not
say
gonna
nerfs are bad.
I think nerfs are always good. It's just as long as it's not like to the point, like depending on when the state of the game is. Like, for example, when the ML Bala and ML Araminta glory days were, like, I feel like at that certain point in time they kind of like neutered both of those units. Obviously, I think with what we have now, those two are like better again. But like, as long as they don't like nerf a unit into the ground, I think nerfs are always good for the game itself.
Yeah. I'm also, with the nerfs for ML Ball, one of the things that I think is weird is that people constantly say that he was nerfed into the ground and he's literally unusable right now, but I see those same people still ban him in RTA because he's still kind of terrifying. Not saying that he doesn't need any buffs whatsoever, but I do think, I guess we're all in agreement here, that I think that nerfs are going to be good for the game. I think that it is going to bring better balance to the game, and eventually if we do end up doing some kind of more competitive game mode tournament maybe sometime, it'll be really, really good.
The people and the timing of complaining about ML Ball nerfs was because at the time we didn't have RTA, right? At that point, FCC had come out. ML Ball was useless, right? He couldn't compete with FCC. He was completely useless against it, right? You could always bring that in. You always be safe, right? There's no RNG in that sense of which buff gets stripped. So at the time, it made sense when people said ML Ball is trash. But now that RTA comes out, if people are still hung up on the, oh, ML Ball is bad, ML Ball is bad, they're honestly just wrong, right? Yeah. We said this even when he got nerfed. We said ML Ball will be good in RTA in controlled content. He will not be good at all in PvE or in PvAI versus content because you just can't do anything. You can always bring him FCC or you can bring him on offense, I guess, right? But offense again is a piece of controlled content. He'll always be good in those contents.
Yeah.
Right. ML Ball is a force ban because of the way his kit works. It's the same thing as Broman being a force ban, the way his kit works. Like, you have to outspeed Broman or you have to get really lucky.
Yeah, Broman's so terrifying right now. Are there any units that y'all think personally need to be toned down currently? Just to add on that.
I don't believe in right now. I don't believe in unit nerfs. I believe in artifact nerfs or the change to artifact mechanics.
Yeah, you don't want it on miss. I want stun on miss. Give me that.
I think
give me that.
Applying on miss is probably the most busted mechanic in the game because then it defeats the purpose of having elements at all.
But what about with the evasion meta that's going on right now? How would you fight against Rylet, Mursa, or Holiday Euphine turn 1?
I think you lower the amount of damage reduction from missing by like 30%, and I think you can mitigate it out by that. I mean, if you're relying on a 30% chance to stun something through miss, what difference does it make if they take 30% less? If they took 30% more damage when you miss them?
Well, so I personally run control comps, right? So with the current state of RTA, there's a lot of evasion units that exist innately. There's RNG, right? You can get 15%ed, and I feel like control comps really are how well you can deal with the game state that's on the board, right? So
Control comps are how much you can RNG somebody.
well,
You outspeed them and then you RNG them as hard as you can, right?
yes and no, right? Because a lot of it is controlled, and I usually double down with like stuns and strips and all of that in order to create an advantageous game state. The game itself is against control comps, and so you fight against that. So removing artifacts, being able to strip on miss, being able to stun on miss, just talking about the mage artifacts in general, or even like Holiday Ufien's Championship Trophy, I feel like would make some units unstoppable. A lot of people counter Remnant Violet by Dizzy Ilella's violining, Iella violining. What would you do if you couldn't do that, right? How do you stop this monster if missing doesn't do anything? He just becomes this unstoppable force, even more so than he is right now.
It would
So
be
you
rough
think
to,
that
to
we should
use.
have an imbalanced mechanic for the entire game to counter one unit? I think that means the unit's broken, not the mechanic is good.
They keep adding more evasion units, though.
And I think that's a mistake.
I feel like maybe it's just me because I also like I don't play control comps like Kaz or anything. And like if I ever have to go against a Rylet, for me a lot of the times like the way I deal with funny enough, I actually don't even use Dizzy against Rylet. Like it's either I bring like SSB, I take a SSB and know I'm gonna force ban Rowana if they pick Rowana, so I draft into that, or I just run like true damage like Krau. Well, we have ML Krau coming out. I know some people run like fast Sermias, and they just don't even care about mist. Sermia just nukes through the mist no matter regardless kind of thing. Like, I feel like there's more ways to deal with Rylet.
Same with Gunther too.
There's like, oh yeah, Gunther also like destroys Rylet straight up in a hit. We have like Melissa, Falcon, or Clury. So like, depending on what they take, like I feel like right now for me in RT itself, if the opponent gets first pick or whatnot, right? If they take a Falcon or Clury, I'm probably gonna take like Ruel Rylet. If they take Rylet, I'm gonna take the Falcon or Clury kind of thing. Or if I get first pick, I might just take Falcon and Clury first. I just feel like Falcon and Clury like helps me take that and it makes them on edge from taking Rylet because that's one of his counters. Falcon and Clury being a 3-star is like easily like accessible by everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But
The reason that I think, and I wanna stress this because I think a lot of people are sitting here and they're like, well, he doesn't like the way the game's going. It's more that we are using an extreme example. We're using the most broken evasion focused character, right? To try to push the point that a default game mechanic is balanced and reasonable. And I think that discrepancy between the two things and the dichotomy between the extreme and the norm is my biggest issue with it, right? We sit here and we say, okay, this is the most broken unit. How do we counter it? It's like, okay, we'll just add a base game mechanic that's frustrating for everything, but also works against this, so it's acceptable. We absolutely need it, right? And I just don't think that's true. I think that the issue lies in the unit, and that we shouldn't be making busted mechanics to counter one unit.
I feel
before
like...
anything else, oh sorry, I'm just gonna give a quick example. I feel like that Abyssal Crown itself, I think, is a little bit stupid being able to hit through miss because, unfortunately, in season 1 of RTA, most people know who Careless is. I actually killed Careless twice, purely because of Dizzy Abyssal Crown, stunned through 3 Earth units, and I pretty much RNG'd him to death. And like even I felt bad about that. Like it was stupid to me. Like I feel like it's frustrating for anyone running into that at that point, like being hit that hard by that.
I feel like, so 2 comments. One is about the certain damage dealers being viable units inside of RTA, like Sermia, Melissa, Gunther. The main issue with those units is that unless you're running like an Aux setup and you're hard cleaving your opponent, which is very difficult to do versus these teams with difficult damage dealers to do, such as Rylet, and then after this I'll get off the Rylet topic and talk about the artifact specifically, but Rylet doesn't have a distinct speed, right? And I think I talked about this before, but Rylets can range anywhere from 170 speed to 270 speed. meaning that you almost need a damage dealer at 270 or above to challenge him, and at that point, you cannot kill. There's no way. It's impossible.
Okay, that's not true, though. That's actually not true. Because if you're saying the range is between 170 and 270, you understand where the breakpoint is, where no matter how fast you are, you will always do enough damage. And you will always survive based on a certain amount of HP. There is a breaking point where you sit there and you say, I will never need to be over this speed, or I will never need to be over this much HP at this speed, right?
There's no way a
that people are
Sirmia...
over 240, well, you're not going to draft a Sirmia with no protection, right? You're going to bring a Sirmia with 2 knights. You're not going to do something like that. It's the same thing with Riolet. You pick the Riolet with protection, right? You can build these breaking points where not enough damage is going to come out from that Riolet if it's over a certain speed. And if you're also over a certain speed, you will move first. Like, unless, I mean, you can compare with like the top 10 players in the game, but I think it's maybe more fair to talk about like the top 1,000 players and maybe not just the top 100. I mean, if we're going to talk about specifically top-end legend stats, then yeah, we can talk about that. But I want to be clear on what the range that we're talking about is, because it's really important if we're distincting the people who spend $100,000 on this game and only their meta, or if we're talking about the majority of us who have probably spent under 20,000, maybe under 10,000.
So I'm thinking about Champion plus RTA. I think is a good standard, because I think Legend is too tight of a bracket. I think Champion plus is fine to talk about for stuff like that. But personally, I used to be a huge advocate of speed set Sirmia, and the reasoning is that because she isn't a unit with self-protection mechanics like the strongest units in RTA right now, being like Tempest Surin, Remnant Violet,
Cheers,
and all that stuff, she's not good enough. She can't do her job without getting blown up. But going on to the artifact topic and why I think that artifacts proccing on miss isn't as toxic is because if you didn't make them, and we're not talking about Riolet, if we remove him from the equation, then it does buff elemental advantage and disadvantage, right? Meaning that units like Tenebria can't challenge water units as well. Then you just have the 50-50. You don't also have the artifact hit, which means that other units such as Moonlight 5 stars then become stronger alternatives, in that we would move even more to a metagame where there are only Moonlight 5 stars being used, because why use Tenebria to control when I can use Silverblade Araminta and not have to deal with elemental disadvantage, right? I feel like it would then...
You don't have Silverblade Araminta.
I know I don't. I want her so bad. She's my most wanted ML5. But yeah, like what would happen then? You would make elemental disadvantage that much stronger. And the question is, do you want to do that to the game? Do you think that would be healthier for the game, for elemental disadvantage to be the deciding factor and not being able to push beyond that?
You know, I'm perfectly fine with every other artifact in the game except for Abyssal Crown. Can we just get rid of Abyssal Crown, and then we'll take that as a compromise. Everything else can hit on miss. Abyssal Crown can be removed from the game.
I'm not gonna lie, I slightly agree with that. Other things I'm okay with. I'm not too bad with. Abyssal Crown is kind of where my I feel like the toxicity starts. You know?
Yeah, it feels bad to get stunned, honestly.
I mean, I'm even fine so much with like violence stripping, right? Because even if you're using it on like counter Dizzy, that's kind of the whole purpose of violin. Abyssal Crown, there's not much that feels worse than a Basar coming into your 8 Highwind setup, coming through S3 and then quad Abyssal Crowning your entire team. Oh, sure, you don't have Unbuffable on, but literally everybody is stunned regardless. That is just super toxic, and it just, I just hate Abyssal Crown.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Abyssal Crown's very, very strong. It's very, very obnoxious artifact, especially on those setup units like Broman
when it comes to
and stuff like that.
When it comes to mages, like mages are really the only ones that have this issue, right? Mage artifacts have a lot of added effects that are debuffs. Most other classes do not. Most other classes have things that are more selfish, things that apply to themselves, right? The exception being Drink, and the exception being Misconfit, right? Those are like the 2 exceptions. But Reingar's Drink applies if you AoE, so that's not really like And I guess Champion's Trophy if you count the one unit that uses it.
Yeah, it's like also an Abyssal Crown sort of situation.
SOS can be considered, but it's pretty uncommon. Torn Sleeve is pretty irrelevant because one bleed stack is irrelevant. Right? Think about it this way. How many bleed stacks would you need on a unit to consider it to be as good as 1 stun? 3?
Enough to kill.
Maybe? Enough to get one rotation. Enough to deny one full turn. You would have to have enough to deny one full turn worth. And that's just unrealistic, right? Even like burn debuffs if you're using like Junkyard Dog or if you have anything like that. It's not worth enough.
I don't know why burn feels so weak, honestly. But yeah, mages have very, very strong debuff artifacts. They're essentially the debuff class. Like most of the debuffers are focused in on mages, right? I believe.
Pretty much, yeah. Like there's very little debuffers that aren't mage except for like maybe like Cerise.
Yeah. So it is a very weird situation. I understand y'all's standpoint. Hey, we had a little bit of a disagreement, but I feel like we can feel free to disagree. I don't want my mages to get burned to the ground. All right, so you know I gotta defend.
I use mages all the time. The reason I use mages is because I know they're busted. They just win things that they shouldn't.
Very, very strong class. Right. I think that knights and mages are like strongest classes in the game, actually.
Yeah,
especially because knights can just tank it downtown, and I'm trying desperately this season not to become a degenerate knight player.
You'll start soon.
Come on, I don't want it, dude. I'm building Lilius soon, though.
Do like so much, right? Like knights have survivability, damage, debuffs, and a little bit of control. Not a ton, but they have enough threat with the RNG. If you count a Tywin, then you count the control, right? When it comes to mages, it's like mages do. Mages have debuffs, control, damage, and utility. Right? Like utility would be the Vivian, for example. You know, debuffs. You have all the defense breaker. You have the multiple defense breakers. You have the people who have slow debuff and stuns. Right? Like you have Teneb with the sleep defense break, AoE slow debuff, attack bar push, and then you have sleeps on skill 1, which shelf CR boost you so you rotate even faster. Let alone how good her base speed already is. On top of that, with her stats, and she self-attack buffs. You have ML Aura, who rotates fast, has stuns, burns, and AoEs almost every single turn, as long as you hit a target that's already burned.
I want that unit.
Right. You have ML Ball for the sleep cut if you need on super fast units. You have Broman that can't be pushed back.
I hate Broman.
He just, I mean, even if it's an 80% chance to strip silence, like it's still pretty strong. And then you have your chance to go skill 1 into skill 2, or skill 1 into the extra hit.
Yeah, the extra. Mechanic. Yeah.
Right, there's just a lot of things with mages that even if you didn't have artifacts on mages, they would honestly still be good.
So, I actually never answered my own question here, which was who I want to be nerfed. And the answer is ML Tywin. Alright? I want something done to that skill 3. It's far too strong. It's oppressive. It feels like ML Aura before the nerf. Alright? It's too fast with that 10 soul burn, okay? You're stunned for the entire game anyway, right? Wasn't that the reason of adding an extra turn to ML Aura? So, I have a proposal for one of 2 nerfs, okay? And y'all can tell me your opinions on this. Either A, I want to increase that soul burn to 20 souls, okay? That's the hardest nerf. Or B, add an extra turn cooldown on his skill 3, so that if you are soul burning it, you have an extra turn in between. Make it a 20 soul burn instead of 10. Right now it's 10 souls. And then you fucking every other turn.
20 souls would be reasonable.
I think 20 souls is a better balance. The 2 things have the same like effect, but the 20 soul one's better because you can actually control souls more than you can control the turn. And then you have to choose like if you want to use it or not for the soul burn. Whereas just like the raw turn mechanic is just like, oh well, I might just get screwed because of the turn difference.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Makes sense. Now, moving on to the next topic. Now, this is something that OnceInLuv himself said that he wanted to talk about, but that being said, I'm not going to give OnceInLuv the floor first because I know he's waiting to answer it, okay? Gearsets are coming out. I've heard a crazy amount of ideas of what they think is going to be in there. I don't know. What do you think the new Gearsets are going to be? We're going to have a new hunt or something or whatever. What do you think's coming out?
No, I'm just kidding.
No!
For the people that play Summoners War, I'm joking.
You can't say
honestly,
that.
a lot of people have come to ask me about that, and the answer is there's no reason for it. The turns are too. I'll talk about it when I get to there.
I think it's going to be defense pen and chance to hit.
chance to hit. Oh, like the,
So,
like oath key style kind of hit chance.
right. So what hit set actually should have been?
True to hit.
You
Yes,
know,
of course.
For the
of course.
name, right? So I think that they would put that in potentially a 2-piece set, maybe 10% chance. But their whole alluding to new sets being kind of bruiser, anti-bruiser, tank buster, the ignored defense mechanic has been getting thrown onto just about everything that exists in a way to break some of the, you know, the heavy defense stacking, the high hit point. I could see 2 of those, and then I would not want to see an evasion set, but at the same time would also like to see an evasion set just so I can put it on my MRSA.
No.
So you're conflicted,
Yeah,
but you're conflicted.
I like
Right.
I like the hit set idea. The true hit set idea. I do not like
Yeah.
the evasion set. That would be so incredibly toxic.
well, I mean, you put both of them on there, right? You give you make a problem and then you sell the solution, kind of
SF
like the third Molagora pack.
SSB zero
God.
speed evasion set.
Oh, disgusting!
Super
Bad cat
tanky,
with evasion set.
super tanky Reingar's. Oh, disgusting. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I think the defense penetration is a very big possibility. Aside from that, I was paid from Summoners. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't played in a long time, but Summoners War has like a it's like a destroy rune or something. Destroy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you
yeah.
destroy the max amount of health,
Destroy
right?
runes, you deal up to a maximum percent of your damage per hit to destroy their max HP, and you can destroy
Yeah.
a maximum of 60% of a unit's HP. So
I
it's
feel
pretty
like
much
that's
only
the-
relevant in Guild Wars, and
Okay.
very, very nominally relevant in RTA. Very, very
Okay.
lightly.
Okay, so there's big conditions for it. Okay,
Mhm.
I think there's bigger chance of some sort of defense penetration set rather than that. Then
Now, here's
than
the
anything.
real question: is I feel like there'll be 4-piece sets, so that they can try to break people away from
Wyvern.
nothing but speed sets. Because I mean, right now, what's the point of really running anything over 4-piece speed on just about everything that exists, right?
Mhm.
As long as you get the substats, speed sets just so prevalent on absolutely everything. So I think that they're going to introduce more 4-piece sets. I would like more 2-piece sets just to have a little bit of more flexibility, but at the same time, right now, what 2-piece sets do you use? Immunity if you're not me. You know, Unity if you're me and Sam a gamer. I have so many sets now. But I feel like they'll need to put in some 4-piece sets, and everybody is going to go, well, this isn't, defense pen isn't as good as, you know, speed or what have you. So it'll be interesting to see how they manage it. I would almost like to see, this is long term in the future, right? Sets that work with each other, like a 4-piece plus a 2-piece would do this extra thing. Or if you stack 3 2-piece sets, right? The more crit chance sets that you stack, the bigger the set bonus or whatever would be. That would be a kind of cool thing to move towards in the long-term future. But yeah, I don't know what the third one would be, because I feel like there'll be three different sets that come out of whatever the new hunt is.
Yeah, I think that if they do defense pen set, I like the idea of making it a 4-piece set, because what I was most afraid of was having like an Assassin Sit skill 3 with defense pen set, because it just
God,
he doesn't.
defense penetration. He's gonna nuke. Yeah,
Everybody would be
straight up
dead.
nuke a Ruel, like one shot gone. Goodbye,
Yeah.
any tank.
Actually,
Yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
Mr. Once?
So you want me to go over it now?
Yeah, sure. Hey, yeah, go.
Okay,
Hey,
so the
floor is
first thing I want
yours.
to talk about is people are asking what are violent sets, what are despair sets. So I'm going to go over it in a little more detail because it's more than just what people are saying it is. So violent set is a 4-piece set that gives you an inherent chance to take an extra turn immediately after your turn. Now this doesn't mean getting 100% CR. This doesn't mean anything like that. You get an immediate turn that can only be cut by passives that say takes an immediate turn. So it's pretty strong. However, in Summoner's War, it's a lot more balanced for the way the game is. In Epic 7, the reason I think that it would never come to here and it would never make sense is because it already exists in RNL. So it's specifically locked to Thieves. And also because turns in Epic 7 are a lot more relevant than they are in Summoner's War. One turn in Epic 7 is probably equivalent to 1.5 turns in Summoner's War. So like your whole first turn and second turn in Epic 7, in my opinion, is worth like the first 2 rotations, maybe 3 rotations in Summoner's War. So if you gave that extra turn mechanic to an Epic 7 set or to units, people would just lose instantly. There's like no chance you'd ever come back from like a first turn proc in Epic 7. You snowball so much harder in this game than you do in Summoner's War. The second set we're talking about is Despair. So Despair is a 25% chance to stun. Now, there's a couple applications with this. So you can't apply debuffs in Summoners War when you miss. However, if you have a multi-hit, your first non-glancing hit of the sequence can apply the Despair stun. Now, Despair ignores resistance as well. So the stun mechanic on that is 100%. If it procs, it goes through. So I also don't think we need that because of the way that Miss applies in this game. Because of the way we have artifacts already in Mages, I don't think we would need Violent or Despair. Mm-hmm. And then the third set that people always talk about that doesn't exist in Summoner's War, but it kind of does in Epic 7 is Nemesis. So Nemesis is a 2-piece set where when you take over 7% of your HP, of your max HP, you gain 4% attack bar, so 4% CR. You can stack them with multiple sets. And the thing with that is we have that kind of with Water's Origin, but Water's Origin is just better. And I just don't see that becoming a relevant set in Epic 7. You don't really need it. Because any of the units that like revive or anything, like RB already gets 100% CR, so it's not important or relevant. So after talking about the sets, because I know people were asking in chat.
Yeah, thanks for that Summoner's War catch-up.
I think we're going to get 5 sets. And I think we're also going to get changes to... Yeah, I think we're going to get 3 to 5. I think it's going to be an entirely new hunt. And I think that they're going to make changes to 2-piece sets that already exist. And the reason I think that they're going to make changes to the 2-piece sets we already have is because most of them just aren't good enough. And this is also something that I want in Summoners War. I think it'll be a good application to the game. So the 2-piece set change I want them to add effects if you have multiple 2-piece sets, kind of like what Shogun said. So you know how you were saying you want a precision set that applies like the true chance to hit, right? What if you gave like a 20% chance to hit if you ran 2 hit sets? So you'd have like your 20% from each set, and then you get a bonus 10-piece or 10% effectiveness and a 20% chance to hit now. If you use it as a 4-piece or something. Or if they made it so you had like the 40% effectiveness and then just 20% chance to hit or 15% chance to hit or something. Mm-hmm. Right, I think that those could be viable upgrades and changes because right now, unless you're using multiple 2 sets or you're just really, really fast, there's not a lot of reason to use things like hit set. Crit set is pretty much the only one people use, right? Defense set maybe because you just want to utilize your Hell Ray rings. Not that many people use HP sets. You'd rather use a resist 2-piece, right? Unity is not super relevant or common for most people.
I just want to interject.
And then for the other sets that I was thinking about, I've thought about a couple different ones. People are always talking about like, how do we trump a speed set, right? And the issue with speed set is either you get controlled so hard that you lose, you get cleaved on the first turn, or you like really heavily outslow your opponent, right? You're just like really, really, really tanky. So what about sets that just give your whole team stats?
So are you talking about the raid dungeon monster sets? We have something similar to that in that a couple of the event artifacts that came out before, like small miracles and there's like
but
the
none of
soldiers.
Those are good enough to replace an actual artifact.
Really?
Right? I don't think so. I don't think any of those are good enough to replace an artifact in RTA or PvP content. I think it's only PvE stuff you'd use those, right? Like
I only
Card of Small Miracles and Water Gun and shit. Like you're never using that.
Hey, I'm starting to plus 30 my soldiers thing because it gives 10% defense, 10% effectiveness. So I was gonna put it on like Issaria or something like that, and see how it goes, just to make the team a little bit bulkier. I think that if we had sets like that, though, the only problem would be is that you have the same speed set problem, right? Why would you run that over just the overwhelming stats that you would get from a speed set, right? Because I think they had like 8% defense or 8% attack and something like that.
Well, it doesn't have to be 8%, right? Those numbers are flexible.
Oh, yeah, true. But like...
It's the concept of the set itself.
It has to be lower than what like HP set or defense set gives, right? Because you're giving it to the whole team.
Well, not necessarily, because if you buff the way HP and defense set work, then that's not necessarily true either, right?
Mm.
My point is, I think that they should consider a revamp to like the majority of their 2P sets, and maybe they're just like unused sets, because there's a reason we don't use them. They're not strong enough, right? Not that many people use attack set. And if you do, sure, you have a couple attack sets for like very specific niche units, right? Same with destruction sets. A lot of the time it's like, I'll just run speed sets, or I'll run 3 crit sets, because you're already farming for speed sets. You get the crit sets as a bonus.
We were talking about it before, that we were thinking that, or I guess something along the lines of, well, exactly what you were saying, right? Of having the 4-piece 2 set to have an additional effect. I think we mentioned like health set might give a shield, or defense set might give defense buff turn 1 if you had like 4 of those stacked together, just like a 1-turn defense buff or something like that, just to add some extra use for them. Because it is very hard for players to even look at Golem. Right? Nobody, everybody
there's no
memes
value
it.
in farming there, right? It's like when you look at Golem, you're like, okay, Golem has what? Attack, health, defense.
Yeah, attack, health, defense. Yeah.
Attack, health, defense. You're like, okay, there's 3 sets, so I can craft easier, find like what I'm looking for. But at the same time, like, how often am I going to use a health or defense set when I could just run immunity? And that's like, how often would I run attack set when I can just run like destruction?
I feel like that goes against what they were saying though on the questions, that their new set was going to be used to counter the current, like tanky bruiser meta. Like, I don't see that happening, I guess, with what they said. Obviously, it wasn't finalized. They could always change that. But, I felt like that was what they're aiming for. So I can't see them buffing health and defense sets yet. Not saying they wouldn't. Like, I think what you're saying, though, is like a good idea, actually. It's a cool idea. Like, having some sort of special bonus for running multiple 2 sets or something. Like, for certain units, they can make use of that, So...
Yeah, it would definitely add some variety, right? Because, like we've been talking about, speed immunity, speed crit. That's about it. Any of your support, speed, effect, resist. Like, outside of that, unless that piece of gear rolls disgustingly good, like some of my Unity pieces, I'm not going to use it. And I'm only using the 2-piece immunity or Unity because, well, they rolled super good, and because I want to meme it up with a Unity set. But that's really the big thing, is anything that they come out with for the new hunt is going to be compared to speed set. And right now, everything needs to go fast or you're last and you just die. You get lapped and destroyed.
Yeah,
that's really what it is.
The only
the reason sorry, go ahead.
The only unit that I'm using in RTA really that's not on speed set or like counter lifesteal is the my Armin is like health set effect res set immunity, right? Just because I had a nasty 50% defense health chest piece that needed to go on somewhere, right? If I was to have any sort of set, going based off of what I said, I think defense pen set is the most likely. It would add a lot more damage is the scary part, so I think that it does need to be a 4 set. Because if you have speed set, defense pen set, everything is dead, and speed becomes the ultimate meta, and only the people who have the fastest damage dealer gear can compete, because I've tuned some of my units, like my Faithless Litica is bulkier, so she's not as high speed as some other people. I've run around like 270s, but she also has immunity set, so she can take a hit from an Assassin Sid, survive, and then do what she has to do. And if you add defense pen set to that, nothing matters anymore, right?
Yeah.
So I think that if they do anything, it has to be fine-tuned. You can go.
I don't know. I feel like defense pen set's going to be way too strong, right? Even as a 4 set, even if you make it like, I don't know, let's say 15%, right? You think 15% would be reasonable? I think 15% is still a lot. Like,
I don't know. I feel like
defense pen,
like a defense pen set, like with less, but like being a 4 set, I feel like that locks it down a lot more. Like maybe certain units can make use of it, but then those units will be slower. I feel like in most cases, except for like.
So would you rather a 15% defense pen or 25% speed on most units?
I think certain bruisers, I might actually go for the defense pen. Like, most people will still be using speed, but then certain units to counter you know, the tankier meta, like I would run them as like a defense penetration set. Granted, like specific like Kron, who can make
So I
use
like
of it,
the
probably
idea
best.
of defense pen, right? Because it's another option where you have to choose between do I want to be fast or not. But I think the issue that we're maybe overlooking here is that if we run a defense pen set is just going to be for all of your nukers, and speed set's going to be for everything else. Every bruiser will theoretically be on speed set still, because if they don't have enough stats. Right?
So-
Speed is like
Fair.
the most efficient stat if you need to be over 180, 190 speed.
So
There's like no reason to run anything else because the speed roll range is so much harder than anything else is,
yeah.
right?
And
Yeah.
that's the problem with Kron as well, is that he gains so much free stat from just having a speed set on, right? You gain like 32, 33 speed or something stupid like that. So
Yeah.
it would be hard to give that up. But XSkyking, what do you think, if you had to name 3 sets, or maybe this is too much, but I'm assuming that it's going to be a new hunt, right? You haven't
Yeah.
taken the floor yet. What do you think it's going to be to counter the bruiser meta, or maybe something beyond that?
I mean, my thoughts with everyone else, like the defense penetration is my most likely guess first. I was thinking about possibility of a way of, you know, when you do damage, certain amount of damage, you get rid of their max amount of damage. So it certain units max HP will go down more quickly. So it helps you a little bit more in RTA. Not gonna lie, Shogun's idea actually was something I didn't think about, but some sort of like true hit chance would be nice with current evasion meta
Yeah.
with a lot of the units. Like at the same time, that's kind of scary because that allows certain mages to kind of hit through. So I'm kind of on the fence about that one. You know, if it's like a 2 set, then it's like, woohoo, yeah, all right, Broman's gonna whoop my ass even harder now.
I'll
And
take...
the problem though with that is, you know, if it's 2-piece though, you're giving up that potential immunity. But I guess realistically on, you know, a Broman or something along those lines, chances are you're not running immunity and you're taking that gamble in the first place. So I was thinking more along the lines of running that with an oath key to just almost completely negate elemental disadvantage like Kaz's oath key Mui.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why I run Oath Key Mui, so that you can hit the evasion units a little bit better and hit the fire units as well. Because people just draft Lilius into you, Lilius Kron, and then you're just like, oh, bop, I can hit you. I would take the nerf to Abyssal Crown. Not saying that they're going to do it. Smilegate, if you're listening, don't do it. But I would take that nerf if you give me hit set, true hit set. I don't like evasion. It's my least favorite thing, honestly.
I think the biggest thing is like with the way they put it in the questions that, you know, it's to quote unquote counter or like to, you know, to deal with the current super tanky bruiser meta. That's why a lot of us lean towards the defense penetration.
Well, yeah, because the only thing that stops them is defense break.
Mhm.
Unless you add more defense break units. Defense break is such a rare debuff. I don't know if anybody's ever realized
Yeah.
that, right? And I hate
It actually is.
I hate that Misconfile is locked behind limited because I didn't get it. And like if I had if I had that for my Fire Litica, I'd be insanely stronger versus these bruiser teams because I had defense break. But if you don't have, they don't want to give us units with defense break, and they keep adding more tanks with defense buff or like other buffs and damage mitigation and stuff like that. Night artifacts are so insane. So then there's no way to break through them. So then that's why I guess why people go to defense pen, because they're just like, oh well, they're stacking effect resistance. It means that I don't have to check an effectiveness versus effect resist. I just get some penetration. But even sometimes with like Rylets and LQC has 50% defense pen. I don't know if anybody looks at that either, but it's like not enough, kind of. Like she still doesn't one-shot tanks. Like it's not a problem. You know what I mean? Nobody's scared of your FCC dying to LQC turn 1 unless she has like attack buff defense break. Even then it's kind of close if they're full tank, right?
Mhm.
It's because people don't build that. I mean, it's a bruiser, right?
What?
Bruisers can't one-shot like hard knights.
People build a lot of damage. I don't know if you've seen like Shuffles' LQC. It's what people more tend to. They go like attack. What do you mean my LQC is not? I have a lot of damage. I have like 3.6 or 7k attack, 270 crit damage. I guess I need more. But yeah, it's not, for me, it's not strong enough, right? I have to defense break a well and gain attack buff from Mui in order to kill them. It's like ridiculous, even with the defense
thing
pen.
is, I don't think her base stats are good enough to really like make that work as like a full straight nuker, right? It's like you're trying to compare the idea of doing that to like the idea of like a Kron going for a one shot with defense pen, and I just don't think that necessarily works that way. Like LQC's
Elliot's
kit
knife.
is designed to be more of a bruiser, right? Yeah, with Elliot's knife.
Mhm.
Like the 50% pen is great, but then you have Knight artifacts. I don't think her base stats are that high. I'll check right now if you want, but I don't think that she has like insane damage focused base stats.
Shogun, doesn't your LQC do an insane amount of damage? I thought.
Yeah, mine's pretty high damage along with tank, but she also has some of my best gear. And a lot of times, even like when I'm trying to kill a Ruel or a full-on tank, I usually have to do the soul burn in order to make sure that I absolutely secure it. But typically, my setup is Falconeer Quarry into LQC, and there's not too many things that if I can land that defense break, she doesn't kill. But I also run Tooth as well, so there's
LQC's base attack is 1.1k, and she has 15 crit chance. So like she's definitely not damage focused awakens, right? Like we're trying to compare the idea of using her as a nuker to units that have like 23, 27 crit chance with probably like 1.2, 1.3k attack. So like, if you're trying to first turn nuke with her, it's never gonna happen through Night Artifact.
Well,
right?
I was using
damage mitigation is just not possible.
I was using her as an example just because like stuff like Rylet is toned down, I guess slightly because he gives himself attack buff, right? So like,
well, he also has the
it feels like
imprint too, which is
yeah. It feels like LQC with attack buff does way more damage than Remnant Violet, which doesn't make sense really. It feels weird, but then they're both low, I guess, because she doesn't get the self-attack. But like if I defense break a Ruel and I hit it with Rylet, does less damage than if I hit it with LQC. And she has attack buff as well.
So another thing is a lot of the time we look at LQC's damage and we forget that she has 50% bonus damage to Dark.
I'm talking
So, like, when we're hitting like FCCs, for example, a lot of people kind of forget that like, yeah, she actually can pop the FCC because she does bonus damage. Right, I know because we brought up the example earlier with FCC, so I just wanted to mention that again.
Yeah. Oh, somebody in chat is saying she has a 1.5 mod, so with attack buff, she'll always be more than a Rylet that has like a 1.3 modifier on it. Yeah. But yeah, if I had to predict anything, I was originally on board with Destroy until my Summoner's War heads inside of chat were like, Destroy set is garbage. It's useless in Summoner's War. It's been a long time since I've played that game.
Yeah.
So it's super good in Go Wars, right? But it's not that relevant
in
to
RTA
because you
yeah.
don't
like the thing I think
really
is like
try to destroy people that much.
I feel like they could like tweak it a bit somehow, you know, because inherently, unfortunately, well, Epic 7 is a different game from Summoner's War. Like I feel like there is a possibility they can tweak it in a way where it'll work. And Epic 7 possibly, like it's a possibility, not saying it. I still lean towards defense penetration being a much more likely set, but yeah, it's just.
Well,
To be honest, I actually don't think that the issue is the sets. I know that we're talking about it because they mentioned it in the notice, and this might be very, very heretic to say, but I think that the issue with the game is that there's not enough units yet.
yeah, that's something
that's
that
true.
I was mentioning with the we don't have enough defense breakers. We don't,
It's not even
but they
just
just need
defense
to.
breakers. We just don't have enough options.
The pool's
Right?
not
And,
big enough.
ignoring the Mola thing, because like I know everyone's gonna be like, well, we need more Molas. Yeah,
Mola
everyone knows we need
problem
more Molas for
solved
this
as of
stuff, right?
today.
But that's the thing is we don't have a lot of options. Even if you could Mola everything in the game right now, I still don't think we have enough options that are like good.
Yeah, no, I
and worth
agree.
Building.
Bouncing off of that, speaking of options, we move on to the next topic. We have talked about this topic for a long time and even extended it past what I originally thought that it was going to be. ML Krau, Passer Poll. Okay, what do y'all think? Hey, new Knights coming out, more options. We pulling?
Oh,
What we doing?
he's a husbando.
Already?
If you're not
Just pulling?
pulling ML Crowd, do you really like any husbando in the game?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
True.
Let's not even talk about a skill set. Like husbando value wise.
So cool.
Yeah, I mean, AoE Horse, the motorbike came out, the look on his face. Oh,
Dude, it gives me those Tron vibes, and I'm all about that. Like, as soon as I saw the animation for the S3, I'm like, I don't even care what the modifiers are on this. This could be literal dog crap. Like, this could give them hit points back, and I'm still going to pull them and use them. Like, 100%.
True.
LOL, true.
Okay, so no joke. Like his kit itself, I think is actually pretty good. Like I've heard people talking about how his multiplier on his skill 3 is kind of low, but if you think about it, it's true damage AoE. If his multiplier is too high, he'd be busted. Like if his multiplier was Like,
When it also increases every time you use it too.
Yeah.
yeah, if you
Yeah.
have that multiplier too high, like give him like high speed, a bit of have him somewhat tanky, boost him. He's gonna start like one-shotting your team AOE like really fast. I'm
Yeah.
like,
People in my Discord were complaining the first day. They're like, the mod's too low. He's not doing enough damage. And then like other people came in and counter memed them and were like, yeah, dude, the 25k HP unit doesn't one-shot you turn one with like garbage.
With AoE.
Yeah, with AoE, dude.
Actually, do.
They're not dead. Garbage unit. Completely useless. I can't use this.
yeah, and like I think the other thing is like his passive is actually pretty nice to counter certain units that are kind of strong right now. Right, like getting that barrier, because from what I saw, the barrier applies afterwards. So it's like it's nice to like give your team a little bit of like safety net, right, afterwards. And I think his whole kit honestly feels pretty good to me.
I feel like he's particularly good, especially because Tempest Urn's very annoying. And
True.
he not only can reach her, but also he gives immunity, which means no unbuffable silence. Oh, so good.
Yeah, like Tempest Urn after her buff, it's like a really strong unit that a lot of people can have issues with, because she gets her CR boost, she rotates her turn really quickly, her skill 3 is low cooldown.
She's
kinda
also
thing.
not super hard to build.
Yeah, very.
I don't think she's nearly as hard to build as other like traditional.
Yeah, because
demonstrators.
you straight up don't care about HP defense stats. All you look for is attack, crit damage, crit chance, and speed. Like you want to be fast, you want to do damage, you're good, kind of thing, right? Like
Yeah.
And she can also use gear that no one else uses. So she can use the life steal set that most, like if you have a real lit, I guess you have real lit in her, but then the real lit gear you usually want a little bit of bulk on. Where her, you just like speed damage. Sweet.
Yeah, very, very powerful unit. But yeah, that's why I think ML Krau is going to be great. I think I might, if I pull him, I'm pulling. Okay, I'm pulling. I might first pick him, see how he does. Instead of first picking SSB, I'll pop him out. And that might make me a little bit more resilient because I am bringing an immunity buffer into my comps. It doesn't force me into control, but also doesn't force me into bruiser, I feel like. And I want to run Holy Sacrifice on him, by the way. That might sound weird, but I don't... I only have a very small amount of, like, night artifacts. So I want to sack, because I think it's as annoying as ML Tywin sack, where, like, imagine if you burn everything into him, and then he just come back and horses you.
I'm surprised you wouldn't think of running Elbrus first. I mean, maybe with you saying your pool is small, you might not have like an extra Elbrus, but like I felt like with his skill 1, granting him a speed buff when he skill 1s, I feel like Elbrus would be really good for him to like rotate out of, like if he gets, let's say, provoked or something, right? Like that could help him like rotate out of provokes and whatnot a lot quicker.
I don't necessarily know, though, that he needs it, because as long as he gets that attack, he's going to have the speed increase. So I was actually thinking about that. And, some people were like talking about counterattack set, and I'm like, but he doesn't need it. He's going to have 100%, theoretically, 100% uptime on his speed buff, because he gets it anytime he S1s. I was actually thinking Justice for All, potentially, for the heals, the defense buff. You do have a little bit of an overlap on the potential for the speed buff, as well as
Is his skill on 1 turn or 2 turns?
1 turn.
It's 1 turn, yeah. So if it does get stripped, then it'll be down. But I don't think that that's like enough
detrimental
to run Elbrus, right? If he like burnt souls or something, if there was something else on that S1, I think that would be a bit bigger of a thing there. You also have potential for Rise of the Monarch, the CC artifact, so that even though he's putting shields up with his S2
passive, yeah.
If he's going super fast, he's going to be slapping shields on everybody. The other thing too, his passive shield, not really that big.
Yeah,
right?
so it's not that big. It's just a decent amount of mitigation.
Yeah, it wasn't huge. Not only that, but the artifact as well will extend the length of the any shields, right? Because
Kaz just gave you the biggest weird champ when you said Rise of the Monarch.
I hate Rise of the Monarch, garbage artifact,
Gave you
dude.
the
Because come
biggest
on,
weird
dude.
champ. Like he was just like
Cause like it's trash, dude. It's like bad FCC, dude. I see that shit on Falconer Clury. It does nothing, dude. And the Falconer Clury's chilling by herself, and she's like, "Damn, I wish I had a real artifact." But as for Justice for All, like my Justice for All is on my Charlotte, right? My Fire Charlotte. Love her to death. Great unit, just plus 15 to her. I wouldn't switch it onto him. I think Crown of Glory is also very good on ML Krau, just because you bring him into AoE, you get shield, you steal 5 souls. Could be oppressive. I don't have it because I'm not a hyper whale, so I didn't pull on the Tywin banner. Why are new artifacts on the banners of the old units? I don't know. But
And why aren't they guaranteed pity?
I'm actually probably going to use Hillig Lance or Steadfast Gatekeeper. I'm a big advocate of Hillig's Lance, Steadfast Gatekeeper. I have 2 that I use very regularly on my units, and it's a lot of fun. Just the extra turns, because it forces people to decide, like, because a lot of people will sit there and they'll be like, oh, I don't need to hit this unit, it doesn't do anything. Now it's like, okay, who do I hit now? Like, do I hit them because I know that they're going to gain CR if they don't? Like, I run a 260, well, now it's, I think, 265 Lilius, and I run her on Hillig's Lance or Steadfast Gatekeeper, depending if I want to use her against AoEs or if I want to use it against her single targets.
that could be interesting because, right, you don't want to AoE versus ML Krau because you'll proc the shield and you'll hit his passive, but you don't want to hit him because you'll proc his passive. So then if you Hilog, then you're forcing it into him, and then he'll just horse you faster.
Yep, that's exactly why I
Very,
want
yeah,
that's
that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I like it.
Plus, there's not too many units you regularly use Hillig's Lance on. Like, you could use it on Flurry, but a lot of the time you're going to be using Justice for All and stuff like that, right?
I feel like Steadfast can be a pretty good choice because, like, I feel like ML Crow is someone who, like, I would bring into, like, AoE comps with his skill setup, and I feel like Steadfast would be pretty nice for that. Like, if you know you're drafting into an AoE comp itself, then, especially like a Dizzy, they're kind of screwed. Like, they know they're going to proc your ML Crow in not just Steadfast, but his passive.
So, like, if you go Steadfast, you're doubling down against AoEs, which is, like, super strong against anyone who AoEs. But then if you go Hillig's Lance, you kind of have the split where you do both. It's like, what do I want? Which is the lesser evil for me? Do I let the ML Crow take turns, or do I just hit him and give the passive?
Yeah. I like that there are a lot of options for him as well. I don't think anything here besides Rise of Monarch is completely garbage.
Just like
Speaking of artifacts, though,
field
because you mentioned Holy Sacrifice, and I know this is kind of a little off topic. It's back to more like the buffs, nerfs, changes, quality of life stuff. But do you guys feel like artifacts should have guaranteed usage at plus 15? Like, the thing that deters me
because
from
it has
always
to be
using
plus
Holy
30.
Sacrifice is my Holy Sacrifice is like plus 21. So it's like, okay, I just have a chance for it to do literally nothing.
What would... Yeah, it's kind of a whale thing and something you have to...
I would just want the amount
max
of like
out.
HP gained from Holy Sacrifice to be different based on like the level of it, right? Like a plus 15 Holy Sacrifice
I think
will
the
give
worst
you less
part about
HP than a
that,
plus 31.
I think the worst part about that is if that's the case, unless that HP at plus 30 is like an insane amount, no one would ever have like a plus 30 artifact for
you wouldn't.
You end up killing the plus 30s, and like honestly, if that's the case, right, like, you know, then at plus 15, good enough, right? You never go for the dupes. You never try. You don't care about the limit breaks anymore for a lot of those. Unfortunately, I do agree though. Like my holy sacrifice is plus 27. That 5% chance really makes me mad. So I was just like, all right, I will revive. Never
So I guess
mind.
you could adjust
reviving.
it, right? I mean, you can adjust the way that the artifacts work, but it's the concept of artifacts being like certain artifacts are actually just unusable at plus 15 because if it doesn't apply, it's just completely useless and you're sad.
Spirit's
right?
Breath, Holy Sac, right? Those
Exactly.
ones, like it becomes like a very whale.
Spirit's Breath
aspect.
is really
Yeah.
I think Shogun
And same with,
refers
like,
to it
Secret
as
Sword,
Whale's
right?
Breath.
Yeah.
Dude, I love Whale's Breath.
What about Secret Sword? Like if you don't have a at least plus 21 Secret Sword, it's just not reliable enough. Right?
Yeah.
garbage.
And even then, like if it's not 100, bringing it into RTA is literally tossing a coin because everyone knows you play gacha games, 99% is only 50%.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's only
like-
25% chance to hit your Judge Kisei when you Aux Slots booster. I mean, we gamble. No shade. We gamble.
20. You have a 30% chance to hit Rylet, but Rylet dies every time when you're using him. It's like that meme Sun Han had, right? I guess I'll just die.
Yeah. It is, I don't know. I think I'm on board with Sky King where he said that you would never plus 30 it, right? Because I've spent powder on getting extra holy sacrifices in order to further limit break mine, and I think that if you didn't, I don't need it. What's 200, 300 more health? I don't care. I'll save my powder for something more relevant to me. I think it would be nice if they had some additional effect on them that they could scale instead, because those artifacts with two different effects, they're able to kind of balance which one upgrades, and I think that's a lot nicer. But it's just so hard to balance things like Holy Sacrifice. Like, would you want, like, to change it so that the shield that you gain from Holy Sacrifice, because remember they buffed Holy Sac, you gain more shield when you limit break it, but you have
I'm not gonna lie, I find the shield negligible.
Yeah, it usually doesn't matter,
honest,
but I mean,
I want to have a built-in attack bar gain on it based on your limit break.
That'd be bust.
So like the starting one, it'll be like it would be like 20% HP or something, and like I don't know, 1% attack bar, and then it can go up to like 30% HP with 10% attack bar gain at like max limit broken.
Oh, okay, so just 10%.
So from zero to 30, I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. Instead of having the revive chance, would be a lot nicer, so that you become tankier. The attack bar, I don't know,
the attack bar, so it's like 2, 4, 6, so it goes up to 20, for example. Like that could be pretty cool.
I'm not ready for knights to become Arby, so I'm glad that you capped that off at 10%, because I don't want.
10% is reasonable. Even 15 to 20% is not the end of the world. But like,
dude, that's
the
scary.
whole point that I'm trying to add is I don't really care what the extra effect that you add to balance out the max limit break factor is. But what I want artifacts to be more usable plus 15.
Yeah, I do agree with once where like. If like a lot of there's certain artifacts right now that at plus 30, like unless it's plus 30, they're just literally unusable, or it becomes a very like it becomes like a toss up, right? Granted, we're playing a gacha game, but it's still, it's like whale's breath.
Yeah.
It becomes too much of a toss up, is what it is, right? Like we all understand that there's a certain level of RNG. There's a pretty notable level of RNG, but the more layers you add, the more frustrating the game gets, right? Instead of difficulty scaling the game by adding more RNG, you difficulty scale the game by making players better at the game. That's always been my perspective on it, right? The challenge from a game, and I talked about this actually yesterday on that podcast, but my opinion on the difficulty scaling of games is that difficulty scalings of games should come down to the player versus player interaction and how much better one player can be than the other player, instead of just tacking on more and more frustrations for both players.
How would you go about doing that though in a game like Epic 7?
You add a slight bit of more consistency, and you make everything do a little bit less. Consistency and I don't mean removing 15% innate resistance. I'm very clear about that. I think 15% innate resistance is absolutely necessary in PvP content. Specifically in PvP content. I don't think it's necessary at all in PvE content. But in PvP content, there needs to be a certain level where you can always have a chance to win, because that is what draws people to continue playing the game. But when it comes to like the balance of consistency, it's just like harmful effects for effect rates, for example, should be closer to 100% chance, and then you balance out the chance to like, and then like the debuffs do less, or the actual application of whatever it is does a little bit less, right? More consistent but less impact is what I feel like makes players
speed
better.
RNG.
I feel like
so like tuning down speed RNG would be a good example of that, right? If it's plus minus 5%, if it was plus minus 2%, it would be more consistent, which allows players to build tighter speed tunings, which allows players to think more ahead.
Yeah, tight speed tuning is actually one of the scariest things that people can do. I think I mentioned Shuffles a little bit earlier with his LQC, but he actually runs a like FCC, Alencia, Fire CC that are all like tight. It's like the tuning is like stacked like this. And that's what makes them terrifying, because it's very difficult to cut in between them. I think
I'm not fast like Shuffles is, but my tuning.
Yeah, they're all like 240 speed. I don't understand.
Yeah, all my tunings are 11 speed between every single unit that needs to be differentiated. So like my strippers are the exact same speed, and then the next debuffer or the pusher is 11 speed below it.
Yeah, that's what I have to do.
I do that with like 4 sets of units, because I know you do the same thing, except your gaps are bigger because you have more speed, right? But then you get Shuffles, who's there with like 250, 260 speed units that are just like right there.
Yeah,
and you're like, that is incredible. Now imagine if you toned it down a little bit, right? If the tuning became like 5 speed or 6 speed difference, that would be incredible to watch people play.
I think that you came for my heart, and then you left it, and then you said buff debuffs, And then you said make them do less. It was like, I just want to say that even as a control player, I think that the 15% needs to be there because it'd be absolutely disgusting and be a very resident sleeper game if I could just stun and sleep everybody forever and there was no counterplay. If I got SBR and I snap my fingers and you're also, because you know I'm going to put 250 effectiveness on her, I snap my fingers, you're stunned. I'm happy. There's no problem.
Unless you got like a 300, 300 something effect resist Momo, yeah.
Yeah, you get...
I'm yielding the moment I get from my pace.
So, I think that does need to be there. I would like a little bit more consistency. I think toning down speed RNG a little bit would be a lot nicer because it does get completely ridiculous once you get to the higher speeds. Sometimes it's a coin toss. There are things that you can do to slightly mitigate it and bringing in imprints and stuff like that, but it gets really RNG heavy. And I admittedly have RNG'd people, have been RNG'd, and sometimes it's impossible to tell. You know, should I have won that game? Did I actually deserve that win that I got right there, or was it RNG? There's no real way to know. But I would like a little bit more consistency inside of the game. I think that would be something that'd be healthier. I think it would make people with better gear even more terrifying, which is something that they may need to look at, right? Because they want more players to be able to enjoy the game. And I feel like if you did make it a lot more consistent, the legend gap would be so high, right? And I don't think that I'm one of the... I think I do have good gear. I don't think I'm one of the best geared players. I wouldn't say that I'm the top 100 geared players in the game. Nowhere close. So the question is how things would differ if we had that extreme consistency, right? And that I think is the thing. But moving on topics, because now that we know that we're all husbando lovers here, Kappa Pride in the chat. I want to open it to open discussion before we get on to questions from chat. So, do y'all have anything that you personally want to talk about? Any questions that I didn't bring up here yet?
I have one thing I really want to ask. How do you guys actually feel about the bullet packs? Like, honest opinions. Yeah, just curious.
I feel like...
I don't care.
I feel like the Mola problem is not real. Or like... It's hard to say, right? It's like real, but it's not real, right? Because it's generosity that causes Mola problems. Because we can pull every unit... Everybody is like, oh, I got 9 new units yesterday, gotta build them all. So then it's like a whale problem that's solved by whaling. I don't know, it's weird. I think that they've increased the amount of Molagores that we gain, and they said that they're going to further increase it by adding them to expeditions and stuff like that. I think they're moving in the right direction for free-to-play standpoint. I think that if you are purely free-to-play, you're a free-to-play player, unless you have insane RNG, you're going to get all the Molas that you need. Now, if you're a spender... You're fucking wailing for ML Krau and ML Tywin and every single banner and you're triple S everything. You're going to have way too many units. You can't mola everything. So I think it's whatever. It doesn't matter. It's fine. Everybody's going to have their main core units molagore it and we'll all be okay. It's my take.
So I almost agree with that. I agree with half of that. I agree with it as theoretically like a whale solution to like a kind of whale problem, but I think that the whale problem idea actually goes out the window, and the solution to that is to make 4 stars like half the molas. Because the issue with like newer players and players who don't spend that complain about it is I can't even build my 4 stars, right? Building a 5-star, sure. Building a 5-star, if you want to invest plus 15, it's going to be a lot. A lot of the 4 stars are usable, I think, at like half range, like plus 10 range probably. So if you like lowered the amount of molas required for 4 stars, I think the game would become a lot more playable for most people. Anyone starting the game would be able to actually progress faster and more efficiently. People would be able to do lower mid-level guild wars. People would be able to do lower mid-level arena, right? It would be a notable change for the free-to-play light spenders, and even honestly, even the whales would be okay with that. But I think that the issue... I mean, again, I don't really care about the pack, right? I don't care about the pack. If you want to buy it, buy it. If you want more molas, go ahead. I think that a lot of people want to build a 10 million units, and then they end up just complaining that they don't have the gear for it.
I wanna interject just on the like 4-star thing and say that a lot of new players don't want to build 4 stars. I know that everybody in chat's gonna be like, but I want to build my Dominial and this, that, and the other, but going off of Stove, because Stove is our point of reference for the common player, when they announced the Rin EE, one of the top comments, Who asked for Rin EE? And I was like, wait, I thought y'all said you want more support for 4-star units. What? She's a 4-star unit. What? Why are you complaining? And they're just like, no, Rin, garbage. Where's my Luna? Like, come on, what are you talking about?
So she could have just stopped at Stove comment section. Probably one of the most high IQ comment sections that has ever existed. Some of
Even
the
higher IQ than Reddit.
Absolutely. Some of the hot takes that I see on the Stove comment section should be given awards just for the benefit that it has brought to mankind. But no, you're right. A lot of new players overlook a lot of 4 and 3 stars. I see it all the time on Reddit, Stove, Facebook, in Discords, and there's Facebook. Like, but Luna EE when? Luna EE when, guys? And I'm like, you don't even have this unit. You weren't even playing. Why are you so worried about it? But I do agree with Once that if they reduced a little bit on the 4 stars, it would probably make people look a little bit more towards the 4 stars. Also, if the donation packs that we funded were to teach players how to play the game, look towards the 4 stars and the 3 stars.
No amount of money can fix that. Showdown.
I know. There's still people to this day that don't think that Falcon.
That pack could have had 100 molas. Everyone could have bought it for $10,000 each, and it still wouldn't be enough.
Yeah, no, like there's people to this day that don't think that Falconeer Clary or MRSA is meta worthy, and I'm just kind of like the most picked unit in my tournament last weekend, Falconeer Clary. Probably, I think, one of the most first picked units in the tournament as well. I still got to go over all of that data, but to Kaz's point, the Mola problem is also a whale problem, right? A lot of the people that come into my comment section, they're like, there's no Mola Gora problem. Also don't have many units, right? So they don't have many units they're investing in. So they have the stockpile of 150 Mola Goras because they just literally don't have units. And so if you are getting a bunch of units, and like Kaz said, is the generosity problem. Like it's so easy to just pull units. Like you save up to pity. We get 5-star tickets that people are still going to complain about because, well, it was a dupe. And I go, well, you didn't have the molas or the gear for it anyways. Why are you complaining about a dupe? And so I think that them putting out the whale pack is just going to help whales whale more and build more things. I don't think that it is really that big of a deal because you are going to have your core set of meta units as a free-to-play player. It just means that the Omega Cosmic Whales... I'm pretty sure UPS is here. I'm going to go get my TV. You guys continue talking about molas and I'll be back.
Okay.
I'm going to say something. People might hate me for this. I don't know.
Oh, I love these. I love hot takes.
This is my take on it. In the world, there are 2 types of people. You either set the meta or you follow the meta. The people who set the meta are the people who try new things. Regardless of what happens, they'll look at unit stats, they'll theorycraft, they'll talk with friends. They're like, hey, this unit seems like I could use it in a specific team comp in a specific way. Let's invest into it because I think this is worthy. Other people will say, this unit looks okay, could be decent, I don't want to try. It'll always be those 2. And I hate to say it, but a lot of the time, a lot of the people who invest into those units are going to be the whales. Because yeah, you're right about one thing, is they have those resources. But 2, I feel like, unfortunately, like, the whales are also the ones who, end up being the ones that set the meta. There are free-to-play people who set the meta. There are some people out there who make YouTube videos and whatnot that are like, I'm just gonna go ahead and try these units because I want to. Yeah, they'll set those. Again, Shogun. But yeah, like honestly, the thing is like the Molagora pack. I don't hate it personally. I think it's nice because a lot of the people that who are gonna buy all those Mola packs, they're gonna try new units. They try new units. The people who don't have a lot of Molas to spend, or whatnot, they're gonna follow the people who end up setting a new meta, setting up new units and whatnot. And the other thing is like unlucky problem to have is if you don't have enough molas and you have way too many units, that just means you got super lucky with pulls. Because there are some people out there that I know who have like 100 something molas and like no units to invest on almost. Like not even 4 stars. Like they just, you know, these are like the fully free to play, super unlucky people in the world. Like there's just so many aspects to this that I've heard of. But I feel like it's the meta setting, right? People who will try and people who won't try.
Well, I feel like that's also a problem because the people who are following the meta also get behind, right? Because, like, as the meta shifts, if you notice there's, like, or at least when RTA is, like, ironed out, we're in the beginning of the season right now, so it's a shit show on who's belongs where. But when it's ironed out, you'll usually see the legend players doing a completely different game from, like, the bottom champion players. Because, like, they're like a meta behind or something like that. And a lot of the trickle down code, back when code was rank 1 and everybody was like, ooh, how do I build my tanks? And they're still mola goring their Kraus to this day.
Yeah.
And
meanwhile, everyone else is like, you know, they're done, they're set, right? Like if we look at RTA season 1, right, when we were all pushing for like legend RTA, right? Like all those people in the top, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna use an example here. Like obviously he might not be the first, but like Solara, for me at least, is probably one of the earlier people I saw that started utilizing a fast Lilius and a fast Falcon or Clury before most people to counter specific. He was like, I talked about it, you know, like he pulled it out against me, and it's just like, what? Like his Lilius was like at that point 270 speed, 267 speed with like 150 effectiveness, and I'm just like, hello, like, what is this Lilius? And like, I don't know, like there's always. It's not just him, right? There's always, you know, other people who will actually think and set up different things. And as that trickles down, you know, people will start mola goring at the bottom. But then by the time they get those mola, right, the meta is about to change or whatnot at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody
I also think that a lot of people will mola their units before they see if they even have gear because they're like, wow, I heard this unit's awesome. I refuse. I refuse to put a single mola into a unit until I have built the unit fully. And I'm like, all right, this is how much extra damage I'm going to get. And I think that's a big difference between, like, again, the people who want to follow the meta, people who want to set the meta. But then there's also the people who are just like, they just want to sheeple, right? It's more than just following the meta. It's, I don't even want to think. I just want to do what I see. There are a lot of players like that. And to be honest, it's not an issue. If you want to be a player like that, go ahead. You have every right to, right? But when you complain that, like, I don't have enough blank, it's like you invest into that without even thinking about it. That's your fault. And you can't blame Smilegate for that. You can't blame, you know, the meta setters for that. You can't blame anyone but yourself for that. And that's the thing that frustrates me.
Smilegate all day long.
It's my right. I will blame Smilegate.
I see people all day long blaming
Don't tell me what to do.
Everything.
Frown
How dare I get a dupe on the 5-star ticket? Unacceptable, Smilegate.
I don't know. The things people complain about just baffle me.
Well,
The entitlement of our culture is infuriating.
That's actually something I wanted to bring up on my open discussion question is the 2nd anniversary rewards. I have seen a couple of videos and I've seen quite a few threads of people that were very, very disappointed in what we got for the 2nd anniversary. And I don't understand maybe what people were looking for. I feel like from an anniversary standpoint for the game, like we got a lot of good stuff. I mean, we got Mologoras, we got bookmarks, we got a 5-star ticket. Now, sure,
We got
could they
leaves.
have opened the 5-star ticket up to the 2nd chapter as well? Sure, they probably could have, but I mean, it's still literally a free 5-star.
I don't understand why. Now, I was not one person who complained about the, I guess, stuff from the past, but I don't understand why instead of just a 5% better EXP artifact, they didn't do like a get more friendship artifact, or like instead of that episode one,
something like that, right?
Yeah. I think they mentioned it in the notes, but I don't know why it wasn't in there, I guess, or like why it is a episode 1 5-star ticket when we have so many units now and we're going into episode 3. Not that it matters. I got Ruel imprints from my ticket. Doesn't matter to me. But I mean, it could have been better, but it's not worth me complaining about. I never mentioned it before right now, really, right? I think that it's fine. Sorry.
Yeah.
This might sound conceited, but I consider myself to be a fairly unlucky player when it comes to like summons. So for reference, I think I've spent probably about maybe $8,000 to $10,000 on this game in the 2 years that I've been playing it. I have never summoned I've never summoned a dupe ML5. I've only summoned 2 ML5s from Galaxy Bookmarks. I have never daily summoned an ML5. I've only daily summoned 2 ML4s, which includes both of the rotations of like the free 70 summons from Anniversary and such. And I don't have any more than 7 of a single unit ever. It's like when we talk about like dupe shop, for example, that shop doesn't apply to me at all. In any sense of it. I don't get a single coin for it. So like, I don't know. I think we get great rewards. You know, I sit here and I'm like, and as someone who like doesn't get a lot of that stuff, I'm still very happy with what we get from the game, because I think that when you compare that shop, when you compare the value of summons to how much money it takes to actually get those things, they really do give us a good amount of stuff. 70 summons is not cheap. 70 summons is not cheap at all. Like, I don't know. I think people just want to like, and even when you look at like 20 leaves, like 20 leaves is not cheap either, right? 20 leaves is 800 Skystones. Still $25.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. You go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so I was gonna say, like, I keep seeing the people though that are like, but we want something special for the anniversary, and I always ask them like, well, what is it? Like, what did you want? You know, to Cass's point, I think it would have been cool to have like a different artifact, right? But I also feel like a lot of times those artifacts and like some of the event artifacts are just kind of like a keepsake, right? It's like, hey, I got this cool artifact. I mean, I don't even personally use the XP one when I'm walking dogs because I don't want to switch out an artifact, right? Like, oh, an extra 15%. Yeah, not worth my time to move that bad boy around. I'm just going to put this on auto and go take a nap for like 20 minutes or whatever. So I think that, like, really for me, it's just kind of like, oh, hey, this is a cool thing. I'm going to put it here, remind me that I was here for the, the second anniversary. And a lot of people I noticed, because I'm like, did you guys like not watch the live stream? Like, there was a lot of stuff outside of the game that was planned for the anniversary that obviously got ruined because of the coronavirus. But I'm like,
wasn't the
every
Festa?
Anniversary.
Wasn't the Festa also for second anniversary?
It absolutely was. But like the other thing too is like tied to the anniversary, right, is the release of the next chapter, quality of life, like all of this other stuff. And it's like every other week I see on Stove like boring update, like when are we getting more content? It's like, bro, did you not just see like the ridiculous like Five Guys fries worth of stuff that they just hoisted upon us?
That's
like,
a lot of fries.
They just backed the dump truck up and we're just like, hey, hoist upon these people a massive load of content. And so I just don't really get like these people. Like a lot of people I feel like have goldfish level of memory, because they're just like, wait, hold on, what just happened? We just got all of this stuff. Oh, it's next week now. So it's really weird. And I feel like from other games that I have played, the anniversary over here is on par or better than a lot of other games. I mean, short of Grand Blue Fantasy, but that's because they give you free stuff like just for breathing on a daily basis. They're like, do you want 100 summons? It's Tuesday, my dude.
So I have a question, and it's kind of off topic, but it does pertain to games. I mean, I know a lot of us play other games. We play a lot of things, and we're online a lot. Do you feel like entitlement culture has gotten worse since COVID started? Because I feel like it has.
Yes.
I feel like it's gotten worse, like threefold.
I feel like,
especially in video games.
I don't know if it's a COVID specific thing. My take on it is that like people like to complain when they have nothing better to do. If we were in like Strife where we had real problems, there wouldn't be as much complaining over insignificant things. And that's just my take on like the worldly, globally. Like you know, I don't even have to go to the like extreme examples of like if we were a third world country and we didn't have clean water. No, it's just like we don't have problems. No real issues, so we complain, right? You know, might as well. Fuck it.
I have a toilet inside. I'm going to complain about not getting enough bookmarks in this online game.
I mean, not saying that we can't have improvement, right? But yeah, people complain a lot. Sorry, I'll let you go, Sky King.
There's like a difference between complaining about stuff. Sorry, dude. Just
go for it.
There's a difference between like complaining about stuff and then saying, hey, we should make suggestions towards the future. I feel like so many people are afraid to say, hey, we should consider doing this for the future, because all the vocal minority of the people who sit there and they're like, no, fuck you, fuck your ideas and all these things. I'm sorry, you can cut that out if you want. But like, there is that vocal minority where people are like, I don't care what you say, regardless of how good or relevant or important it is. It's not what I want, so it's not good enough. And it's just so infuriating to see it. In Epic 7 specifically, I feel like this game might have the worst brunt of that. Especially on Reddit.
I was actually in a Summoners War stream the other day, and the Summoners War community thinks that E7 players are entitled, apparently. Because
coming from Summoners War, that's a gold mine, because
they get nothing.
I think as someone who's played both for a long time and streamed both, like I have 6,000 hours of Summoners War streamed. I probably have 10,000 hours of the game played. The community here is a lot more entitled, specifically because it's an amalgamation of different game communities. It's not just gear gacha players. It's a lot of collection-based players and a lot of like collection-based casual players. So the entitlement comes for different things, right? In Summoners War, it's like, hey, we want better gear. In Epic 7, it's, hey, I want to build whatever the fuck I want whenever I want. And that's mostly the molas. In Summoners War, we're trained and taught not to expect a lot
of yeah, everybody's so sad.
That, right? But in this, they added the pity, so people stopped having that mindset of like,
maybe
don't feel like we have to have things.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe like depending on the people, like maybe coming from like Summoners War for me itself, like I used to play Summoners War first, like I don't know. I feel like everything in Epic 7 is just like better by far.
Yeah.
And like what we keep getting, like okay, I'll be honest. The people who complain about stuff and get better stuff, whew, great, I'll take it. But at the same time, like I don't feel like maybe I'm just too laid back. I don't care about it enough. Like unless it's like something really bad. Like let's say they like I don't know. They made it so like. Now, a 5-star character requires like 200 molas. Okay, you know, I'll probably riot then, you know, at that point for sure. But I don't know, like I feel like, especially with the 2-year, I've heard people come in my stream before in 2-year anniversaries. They're like, I feel like we should have gotten maybe a selector. I'm like, I don't know about that because like with how I've seen this game, if you give them a selector now, next time you give something out, people are like, "Where's our selector?" And you know, it starts
Moonlight 5 selector when.
Yeah.
Yeah, ML5 selector went. Sorry, what?
I actually saw people who were unironically asking for that as well. Sorry, Shotgun, you can go.
Yeah, well, so even last year for the first anniversary, right? Because it was after all of the KR explosion where we got the 2 free 5-stars and the artifacts. People for the first anniversary were like, yo, this is actually garbage. We just got 2 free 5-stars. And all we're getting is 1 free 5-star for this? And I'm like, are you really complaining about a free 5-star? Like, so from FGO, right, for our anniversary, you get a free random 5-star, but you have to pay for it. You have to use paid quartz. And then
only paid.
It's not a select. It's only paid.
Yeah, can't use the free
not
stuff.
Free. And I'm like, imagine it's your anniversary. You go, hey girl, what's up? I got you a present. And she's like, oh, great, a present. What is it? You're like, you gotta wait to see. But first, you gotta give me $30.
You know, give me $30 so I can go buy the key to open the box. Right. I just bought the box with a lock on it, but I couldn't afford the key. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, here's this ring that you already have. Guess you got another one. Sucks. But like that's the thing is, coming from like other games, and I also feel like a lot of people in Epic 7, this is their first gacha game. I feel like there's a lot of new players. It's like when World of Warcraft came out, right? You had a flood of new people come in to MMOs because, well, this is the new thing. It's super pretty. It's fancy. This is the hotness, right? So you got a lot of people coming into Epic 7 because graphically this game is disgustingly good. Like it blows a lot of other games just completely most games out of the water. And so you've got a lot of, I did still buy that GSS already, go 100%.
I was going to ask you if you didn't ask me that question.
Always a dupe, just calling me out. But you have a lot of people that are coming into this. They don't understand gacha games. They're coming from like other things where they're like, but you know, I get everything I want in this game. Why don't I get this thing here? And they just kind of all join, you know, the outrage stuff because they don't know where to go, right? Whereas like seasoned gacha players, man, we don't have no expectations. We don't have souls. We're just full of salt and anger. And if you do get something good, you're like, what? This is the greatest thing. We're totally gaslit and in abusive relationships with gachas. So anything is a breath of fresh air for us.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Now,
along with that, or sorry, go ahead.
No, you can go, and then I'm going to move on to the next section. You can go.
Okay, so along with what Shogun just said, you know, we are conditioned to feel like gacha games are like this, right? Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
We're conditioned that gacha games are like this. I talked about this on Brian's podcast, and it was a very mixed opinion on it. But I feel like we don't have to be locked into it. I think that we could actually, and this is very idealistic, right? But I think we could actually push gacha games to a direction where the value of gacha games becomes actually good gameplay instead of just forcing people to spend a shit ton of money. It's very idealistic, but I mean, gacha games don't have to be this system where it's just like, oh, sweet, every single gacha game is like in a cash grab, and then like some of them make it and some of them are like, oh, we can actually continue to play our game, right? And the reason I say that is I compare it to my city. So I live in Calgary, Alberta, and the food industry in my city is very, very, very strict. And the reason it's very strict is because people have a lot of money, but people are very, very, very opinionated on the food. If the food is not at a super high standard, it doesn't matter like how well known you are in other places, your restaurant or whatever, your chain literally just won't make it, right? I feel like that could be applied to gacha games in an idealistic world, and I think that Genshin might be the first step towards that.
That's what I was thinking too, possibly.
I think that Genshin might be the first step towards that.
I'll be honest, I feel like one of the games that did it well though, like maybe it's just me, but like I felt like Puzzles and Dragons was one of those games where like
you were a pad player.
I played pad since it came out. Like,
man.
Oh, you are what? My
I don't know,
my girlfriend
maybe
was a
me, but,
huge
like,
pad player. Yeah.
I still log into summon on pad and whatnot, but I feel like pad is one of those games that like you didn't like. Sure, like having good units was, you know, was a big deal, building an ideal team or whatnot, but a big part of the game still relied on skill. Even if you had some of the best units, you can still get outskilled very hard.
Yeah, because
no matter what.
We don't have an actual like active component to E7 because it is a turn-based gacha instead of the puzzle structure of pad. Now, pad did, I will say this, they power creeped hard as all heck. All right, they kept increasing that star, and we don't need to do that here.
Yeah, I don't want to see that. But like, I think I agree with Once. Like, I think like Genshin is going to be one of those games also that will kind of hopefully do it right, as long as certain things that I'm thinking of don't go wrong. But I don't want to talk about it because I'm kind of scared. But you know,
I think even if Genshin doesn't go as well and does go under those things you're saying, I think it'll be okay, because MiHoYo is a company that's trying to normalize the concept of gacha in games, and I think that in itself is the direction that I want it to take. Right, the normalization of gacha will mean that gacha becomes more. So if we normalize gacha, it becomes acceptable as like standard culture, right? And because it becomes acceptable as standard culture, it becomes very, very highly exposed to everyone, right? Which means that the public regulate it a lot harder than anything else. I think one of the bigger issues with mobile games is right now, especially these super competitive mobile games, the exposure is mainly towards people who are willing to spend a lot of money, so that small portion of people who spend a lot of money are able to dictate it, or the extremely toxic vocal minority dictate it, right? You get one or the other.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that one there. Like, to an extent, like, especially, you're right about the fact that, like, when you talked about how Epic 7 is like it's just a bunch of different people from like different games, a lot of different games that joined up. So there's a lot of different opinions. A lot of different people, have their own opinions and thoughts about that. And like, I think that creates a weird environment for us. Like, sometimes Reddit is a interesting place to read stuff. Stove becomes even more interesting, as you delve down. And then there are those people on Discords who also have very questionable thought processes. But yeah,
I do want to go ahead and move on to the questions from chat, and I already have one picked out. Okay, I will be looking at chat as well, but we're going to move on to the questions from chat section, and the first question is one that was asked multiple times. Keen Eye says, thoughts on an account-capped Molagora recall, and I will be the first to say I think it's a terrible idea, and you invested in Luna and used her for 2 years. You better stop asking for Molagora refunds, all right? Hey, you got your use out of her.
I honestly agree with that. Like, I'll be the second one. Like, Luna, I have invested into. I freaking love Luna to death. Like, she was amazing when she came out. I still used her even after people said she was bad. I have since, like, kind of hopped off her. I use her here and there. But, like, honestly, I feel like I got my use out of her. Like, it'd be nice for the recall to have that, but I don't think it's something that we should have. I feel like... I think personally, I feel like the recall thing... I've always talked about this. I don't like having a Molagora recall, even if there's a cap or something, or you can only do it once in your account life, something like that. People are going to also expect more.
Okay, does anybody else have any opinions on a Molagora recall?
I personally wouldn't mind it, just so that like newer players could potentially fix some of their mistakes. I do think that now that they're making it easier to get Molagoras, it's not as bad, right? They're adding more ways in game to get them free to play. So just because you did make some mistakes early on, it's not going to like permanently ruin your account forever. I think that if they weren't easing that up a little bit more, I would be much more adamant about it. Because I mean, there's a lot of characters that, I put a bunch of points into Silk very early on. Used her for a little bit, and then just kind of was like, oh, okay. But it's like I got +9 in her just sitting there, and I can't tell you the last time that I even remotely used her. And I think that for newer players that just willy-nilly throw their booty roots into just anything that moves, it would be nice to maybe have like an every so often just, hey, change whatever you want. I don't think that at the end of the day, like for me, after I did that one time, chances are I'm probably not going to just be like, oh, this one unit that I have that I'm not using this week, I'm going to just willy-nilly, get rid of it or recall everything. I would just be like, whatevs, right?
Do you want the devil's advocate answer?
You can take the devil's advocate answer. You're for it. I'm surprised.
All right, I'll give you both. I'll give you my opinion, and then I'll give you the devil. So my opinion, I don't think that it's a good idea, because from a business standpoint, it doesn't make sense to do that. It just makes absolutely no sense for the company to ever do that, because they already have people spending, and people still play the game, and it's not driving people away from the game, right? From a business perspective, there's no reason they should ever do that. Devil's advocate, and I'm kind of leaning a little more towards this nowadays, is I think 1 per year on the anniversary is acceptable, because 33 Mola return, assuming you take a +15 5-star, is acceptable, right? It's acceptable because it is a very special thing that people will look forward to. It has value to the company, both from a marketing perspective and to the player base. So I think that's something they could leverage really, really well to increase profits, as well as increase kind of like hype for the game's anniversary. And I don't think that it's game breaking enough in any sense, whether it's RTA or Guild Wars or anything like that, that it's going to ruin things, right? If you make it 3 months, or if you make it a purchasable pack, that ruins the game. It ruins the balance and the stability of things, because then everyone tries everything. Everyone knows exactly what's the best at the highest end for things, and certain units will just never get looked at, never get touched ever again. You murder the longevity of the game based on how fast you can build every single unit, right? But if you're put into a position where you can take that risk, take that plunge once a year, or something got changed or it just fell out of meta and you don't like it anymore and you're like, I don't really want to invest in this unit, getting that once a year refund is such a nice feeling as the player that the company can leverage it so heavily against you and suck money out of you.
I actually don't mind that idea, having a once a year for free Molagora
Specifically on the
reroll
anniversary,
to
though.
one
I
unit.
think it's
for the
important that it becomes the anniversary.
For the anniversary. I don't think that would be bad. The reason that I don't think that it's necessary is because I feel like whenever I hear people talking about a Molagora refund, and the reason I mentioned Luna is because it's usually for Luna, and it's because they're like, I don't use my Luna anymore. Luna buff when? When is she getting an EE? Why didn't she get an EE now? It's not fair, but it's like you've used that unit forever. It makes absolutely no sense, like, that you're recalling it. You had your fun. You knew what you were doing when you invested into it. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you were like me, and I plus 15 to her as well. I would love those molas back, but there's going to be a time when you want a damage dealer that's single target, that has defense break as well, and is really easy to stat, and you're going to want your Luna back. So,
well, then you rebuild her.
Yeah, it's going to be like, I don't know, it's whatever to me. It doesn't make a difference.
I like it, like you, I say I don't think it's necessary. I think it's just a really good gesture that is a very, very good business strategy.
Yeah. I feel like if it's
I'm going to look at this game from a business perspective every single time, right? I want to sit there and I want to think, okay, I know this is what I want as the player, but what incentive does Smilegate have to give me what I want? Are they going to increase the amount I spend? Are they going to put me in a position where I want to influence people to spend, right? I mean, as a content creator, that's kind of how I look at things. It's like, if Smilegate's doing something, I want to know why they're doing it, right?
So I'm not saying that she doesn't need a buff, or that it's not fine to buff her or give her an EE. I was given an example of the rhetoric that people use to claim that she needs a Molagora refund, which is the main unit that they want to pull out of, because out of units that are on your account, how many of them that are plus 15 that you want to refund, that you know that you'll never use, right? I usually just hear Luna. And that's why I used her as an example. I'm open to buffs, I'm open to EEs. If they want to do that once a year anniversary thing, I think that'd be cool as well. But I don't think that it's fair for you to use a unit for so long, and then as soon as it falls out of the meta, for you to say, like, give me my molas back. All right?
Yeah, I agree completely with that one.
Honestly, like, that's always been my standpoint for that. But, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, Tyler's, like, thought about, like, a once a year thing happening on the anniversary is actually not a bad idea. If you link it with the anniversary, I think it's actually better than, like, there are people who have mentioned how, like, a once a year thing, but it's paid. I don't like the paid aspect, but if it's something on an anniversary, I actually feel like that's actually not a bad idea. And then there's someone in chat who said unit you invested into that you don't use anymore. Ken, I use Fire Ken almost every Guild Wars, by the way.
Yeah,
But
his Fire Ken's really good. I actually keep my Fire Ken fully geared and fully reforged because I help carry new players with it.
my Fire Ken's plus 15 and Gucci in Guild Wars.
I saw another question inside a chat, and it said that they have a question for everybody. Do you think that EE should be less of a way to buff units, but instead be a way to introduce unit diversity within their kit? And I assumed that that's what EEs were for. It may have fallen out a little bit. I think now they're more used to buff,
Can
but
you post that in chat?
Post it in chat?
Yeah, I want to follow along a little better. Sorry.
I gotta type it out.
I was scrolling for it and I didn't see it.
I like unit diversity idea. I like adding extra things to their kit. Like, I actually like the burn proc chance on my
Fire Ravi.
Yeah, because the thing is, right, is especially like when she gets later into like the match, like that burn can do so much damage, and I think that adds like that extra little bit, right? So I would like them to do more of that and add extra things that fit into their kit and diversify it up a little bit based on like which one, right? So like with Vivian's, you have the CR push, you have the cleanse, same with like Green Armin, right? I would like it so that you go, hey, each one of these can kind of define a different play style of how I want to use this unit, instead of it just being like, hey, here's a stat stick with like an ability you just really don't care about, but it's got 14% attack, so you're just going to use the first one that gives you a 14% attack.
Yeah, I don't like the
So,
Lilybet
We've
EE
seen
for that
examples
reason.
of this, right? Oh, I actually. Oh.
Yeah,
I was actually going to use that as the example of why I think that's a good idea.
really, because for my problem was that it added something to the kit, but it was the only option, right? When Lilybet's EE was introduced, you looked at it, you're like, garbage, can counter Moonlight Dreamblade. So everybody chose can counter Moonlight Dreamblade, and then they were like, well, everybody's choosing can counter Moonlight Dreamblade, might as well just put it inside of her kit. Then they're like, what do? We don't have any options, 10% more damage? Sure, just buff her third skill by 10% more damage. And everybody just kept that EE. They said we could trade it. Nobody did. What are you going to do?
No.
Yeah.
You use bleed chance
Okay,
skill
so-
too? Useless.
Yeah. So with that, what I meant was more the concept of changing the unit to incorporate not needing a specific EE. I agree with you when you say, like, why would I use the other E's, right? Like, I just get 10% more damage because Lilibet is very one-dimensional. Like, the goal with her is just to skill 3 something, extinct it, right? But, you know, let's look at Kayron, for example, right? Kayron's artifact, for a long time, had application on all 3 of them, right? You could use them depending on what your build is. Even now, you can use them depending on what your build is. You can go for the silence build. You can go for the full damage build on skill 3 with the kill. You can also go for the skill 1 if you want swipes, if you know you're going to last longer.
Yeah, his is one of the best.
I think more EEs should be designed like that for unit diversity. However, I also think that the reason that a lot of people feel like EEs don't have diversity in the builds is because I don't think a lot of units have diversity in their builds, regardless of the EE addition that they can have. I think a lot of units are very locked into 1 or 2 build styles, and there's not much else around that.
That part is true.
Yeah, but I would say, and Kayron's EEs is one of the best. I use skill 3 because I like to choke. I think like being able to grab an Oxlots and make sure you collect that kill, very, very powerful. Other people like the skill 1 for Elia's knife, and, you know, there are some speedsters out there who, for some reason, don't think that I have immunity, because, yes, I got that on every unit. They run the silence EE, right? So, you know.
There's a couple E's that are decent like that. Like, even Vivian's can be okay. Like, as much as most people will run the 50%...
Yeah, the cleanse one's
CR
good.
on skill 3. The cleanse one is actually really good. I think the cleanse one is what catches more people off in Guild Wars than the 50% attack bar, right? Because you just assume that she's going to get 50% attack bar, and then she cleanses a debuff, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, you're in
Everything
trouble now.
changes now.
I feel like the Fire Cecilia one was really good though this time. Like, especially since she got buffed, she was a really good unit, and then her exclusive gave her an extra bit of utility in her role itself.
So strip skill 2 or the defense break skill 1 chance up, and then I don't remember what the third one is.
I actually don't remember the third one off the top of my head.
Yeah, I immediately went for the strip one because I was thinking, put her in a control copy. There's another question here. Because then she's Mooey. She can strip, or she can provoke turn 1 to control. Yeah. There's another question here that I want to get to, which says, do you think existing sets like Lifesteal Counter or Effect Res need to be buffed? We talked a lot about Gearsets a bit earlier, so I just want to address this, and I guess like my opinion on Lifesteal and Counter. I think that they're fine. I don't think they need to be buffed. We don't want like everybody to be green Purgus with 50% chance to counter. Would be nonsense.
I mean,
okay,
you don't.
I'm not, no, get out of here. Okay, the few times I think I've fought like Hungy and his like stupid like counter set everything, it's like caught me so off guard. Like I think if somehow counter sets were buffed, there's that Hungy or aka Hungyo, like he's gonna be like boom, like he's gonna like he's in heaven because literally all his units are on counter set. I swear to God, I'm not even joking. Like it. Yeah, I think it's a little bit too strong. And then Lifesteal is more. I think Lifesteal is more like. I think Lifesteal is more like just people don't farm Lifesteal sets, and the people who do will have good Lifesteal units. Like Code has like a really nice Lifesteal Rylet. You know, other people have certain like really nice Lifesteal units, right? But like the other people are like, oh, I'm just gonna use the Abyss set. No, the Abyss set is not that good because you're missing certain stats.
You're missing crit damage, and you're also missing the fact that you can't reforge it.
Yeah,
which is a pretty big factor too. You can't reforge it, so
So unless
which
you,
I wanted to
like,
bring up the point. I think
max
I wish you
roll.
could reforge those. I think you should be able to.
No, I don't think so.
Free gear
I think
reforge
you
would
should
be
be able to
insane.
reforge
Free gear reforge would be pretty nutty.
I mean, you
Like,
still have
oh-
to farm for the reforges.
Well, we're not talking about reforging 88, right?
No, reforging the 85.
No. I mean, it's like
Oh,
the 85s, the
oh.
70, whatever.
Yeah, the
is that
gray
encompassed
flag.
under
So
there?
reforging the 85s, and then because they're like free gear, you could just push them to 88 to make them like look different, so you know.
Yeah,
I don't
because
know,
there's like a
some people
couple
have really
pieces.
well rolled pieces.
So do
you know?
I.
Yeah,
I have
some of
them
my
too.
85s are like actually pretty nutty, and then I go to like reforge it, and I didn't look at the name on it at all, and I'm like, where's this stupid helmet at? And I go, oh, that's right, it's the 85 Abyss. It's the
I think
85 Abyss
I think the
piece.
one thing I'm scared of that though is like I think if you could reforge the 85, it's okay. Like I think the one thing is it looks like they're slowly creeping up, like the free gear they're giving us. You know, it was like 70, 71,
Yeah, it's
70,
80 now.
75, and then 78. Now it's 80, and we're gonna hit that 85 level, and then eventually, I don't know what I'm a little worried about them allowing people to reforge too much free gear, and that becomes like it escalates the gear creep, and I don't want to see I-100s yet.
I mean,
Can I
I'll
reforge my 70 gear into 85?
no,
gear, please?
I knew you were going to say it. That boot, you've been waiting the whole time. You can't
That
have
boot
it.
is so good.
No,
It's so
who is
good.
it? I think Careless has like a 18 speed, like 70, level 70 ring or something like that, and it's just like it's such a big, or it's like a pentaroll ring. I'm like, oh, that's a rip.
Well, a lot of
Yeah.
what the thing was before we got 90 gear was that the people who high rolled their free gear, especially the 88s and the free Abyss sets and stuff like that, they were so much stronger than everybody else. And that was one of the main things that they complained about. Those people that were high rollers were like, I'm not fast anymore because my 20 speed immunity chest piece that I got isn't the fastest in the game anymore. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. It's fine. I don't think that we need extra, buffs to the people who lucker out. Like, if you want to
I
lucker
think that's
out,
the one
go
thing.
farm gear. I don't know.
Yeah, it accentuates like people who farm more, like the people who put in hard work and our real life hard work into the farming. Like they get more out of that and like whatnot.
That's a
You know
cool
what
statement. What Derp Turtle just said.
What did
I
he
think
say?
manifestation stone should be universal and can reforge any 85 gear regardless of which hunt
Yes.
it's tied to.
Yes.
Not
Do
a
you
bad
think? Do you think that we need more reforge mats right now? Bouncing
I
off
have
of
way
that
too
question.
much.
Yeah, doesn't it? Doesn't everybody have too much now?
Yes, actually.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't make
Okay.
a bit, steeple gear.
Besides,
So I have, yeah.
well, I was gonna say sorry. I'll let you finish. But besides immunity set, all right, guys, just make better A13 teams. All right, okay.
Just make a one shot, Derp. You're a whale anyways, Derp. Just
Yo,
make a one
I
shot.
have a one shot. I've been farming for like 2.5 weeks. I've gotten like one
Shotguns as well.
piece of good immunity gear. You know what I have gotten though? Copious metric piles of just super good Unity gear. I have so much Unity and Rage gear now.
Hey,
and
you need that.
Kaz
You're
is
gonna need
like,
that unity to win.
I know, right? Kaz is like, yo, why are you out here just willy-nilly reforging this Unity sets? Do you just have, so many reforge mats? And I'm like, yes, actually I do. I have so many. I have, I think, like 1,500 manifestation stones right now because I just don't.
That's
I
a
don't
lot.
craft that gear.
Yeah,
It
it's
sounds like you
disgusting.
need to start doing it now.
I,
Or just
I
save.
make
You
it
just
all
save
the
up even
time,
more,
actually.
and then you just like pump all of it into one set you want to farm. So now you can have a sick, fully reforged golem set without ever farming golem. Just
Yeah.
I think the one thing though is for the people worried about the A13. As far as we know, once November comes through, right? Expeditions will be they're gonna be changing. So I think with that we're going to be getting the A13 mats. I'm not gonna lie, right now Wyvern, I think I have almost like I know there's people that have more, but I'm close to like 2.5k like Wyvern reforge mats, and I just don't know what to do with them
I
because
don't,
I don't have good enough.
I don't know.
I just reforge all kinds of dumb stuff.
I don't know how that's possible because I have the baseline of reforged mats. I think for the first time ever, I have 300 manifestation stones, and I finished reforging every manifestation piece that I've wanted. But I don't know how y'all have so many Wyvern reforged mats. I look at everybody's account and it's the same thing. Like, I've only been reforging targeted pieces, right? I'll be like, oh, gotta farm Wyvern to reforge this set. Oh, gotta go farm Golem. And how does everybody have so much?
Wyvern that I have more mats than I have good gear.
Yeah, what do y'all do within Wyvern?
Maybe you're just really lucky.
Picky.
I don't know.
Maybe you're just really lucky at rolling good gear, and you're like, wow, I have this good piece of gear, and now I need reforging mats. Where the rest of us are like, hey, I have 4,000 reforging mats and no good gear.
Maybe. I like my gear. I don't know.
I reforge anything that like quad or penta rolls just so I have really big numbers. Like I think earlier I reforged something that's like 42% effectiveness. The rest of the stats are
getting quad rolls,
but it's got 42 effectiveness, so I can post that somewhere and be like, "Hey guys, is this good?"
I quinn rolled attack the other day.
You're gonna be one of those typical Discord people. You know, hey. Is this good? It's like 52% attack. Like, sorry, what?
Yeah, do y'all get those questions too? Like should I reforge this piece?
Yeah, I was like, I see like a penta roll. I'm just like
40% crit damage, guys. Is this worth reforging?
Yeah.
Not max rolls. This
I don't think I have a single piece that's like that. Actually, I've never gotten a single like super high quad penta rolls.
I've got the 50% defense health chest piece, and that's I think my highest. But
I hate you.
I've got one more question, and I saw it there. I feel like I'm being such a negative Andy today. I don't know why, but I'm just like nah, y'all can't have it today. Oh, I saw one guy ask inside of the chat, and this will be the last question. Do you think gold should be removed from removing gear? I'll let somebody else field this first.
No.
Okay, all right. Me neither.
Okay, wait. Let's be honest. We get so much free unequipped now. There's no reason why you should be even spending gold on unequipping. Like, okay, I'm not gonna call myself a whale because I don't think I'm a whale. I haven't bought leaf packs for a while. The only thing I buy is the Burning Passion packs.
Dude, Burning Passion's OP.
So good.
Yeah,
so
I think give it 2 weeks in a row. I'm actually so happy. Anyways, so it's like. I just wait until free unequip, and then I'm like, okay, free unequip, you know, then I'll switch things around. Otherwise, like, unless I'm like really in like a rush, then I'll be like, okay, I'll switch stuff right now. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Like,
I don't even buy leaf packs unless somebody specifically says, hey, guy, take this $5 and go buy a leaf pack. But like, I just removed the gear. I don't know. Is that weird? I don't have gold problems. It's not an issue for me.
I still do it sometimes. Oh, I think. Oh, sorry. Go for it. You go.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Continue your thought.
Oh, I was gonna say some people I do know as well. The sorry, chat, but some of the smarter free-to-play people or lower spenders, they do refresh Secret Shop a lot to get their bookmarks and mystics instead.
Yes.
And you know that's why a lot of people will be at lower amounts of gold. I don't think those are the people that complain about gold removal though, but I think that's one of the reasons why some people are lower gold than others.
Well, no, I've heard that a lot. I harass my chat. My chat harasses me. We have an interesting relationship. But like some people will be like, I have no gold, and I'm like, you refreshing Secret Shop, and they're like, yeah, dude, I had to get my Arbiter Vildred, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought, dude.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think it's really an issue. I don't think they need to remove it because at that point, what do you spend gold on? Do you know how much stigma I have? We just need more useless I have 100k stigma. What am I supposed to do with it?
Yeah, like what do you do with stigma? Like I don't even know. Like
I mean, I just
burn through all the stigma.
Yeah, so it's like I feel like you can make gold useless, but then just make everything free. No resource management at all. It's
we're not making 7 stars. Get out.
Yeah, no, stop that. No, I don't need 7-star units.
So the whole thing with like the removal cost of gold, I think the first reason is I don't think we need to beat dead content even harder. Guild Wars just becomes even easier, and it becomes impossible to win defense if I can just move all my gear for free all the time, right?
True.
Let me just move a 295 speed set and literally never get outsped. Right? It's never gonna happen. Like you will just never get punished enough. Right,
just rotate my 3 aux
It would
slots,
benefit
one for
me
each Guild Wars.
even more because I have 3 aux slots for this reason. Right, I used to do that. I used to move my gear around so I could win Guild Wars all the time. Because if an aux slot's died, I just use another one. But I think it just, I don't know. If anything, maybe you can like lower the cost. I think having the cost of removing gear would be okay because it would put you in a situation where like it still does have the value and there's some cost associated with it, but it wouldn't be so expensive that it's like you have to, as a cheaper player, like a light spender, or as a free to play player, you're not like, oh my god, am I murdering my resources doing this? Like if you need to make the change, you make the change, right? But just make it a little bit less punishing.
I think it's just me, but I feel like with the free unequip, like if you're a free to play player, like my alt account, like I only ever like change gear on free unequip unless I'm just like, okay, no, I need to change this now. And it's just slight changes usually.
I mean, that's typically where I am too, but I also feel like as end game players, that's a little bit different than like maybe a mid or early late game player where they're going to have a lot more gold problems than we are, right? Because, and I mean, I had this problem up until I stopped, moving gear around like every day. For us, we put gear on a character and that's typically where it stays. So we're not moving stuff around. I'll take a free unequip weekend and I'll spend a day and a half just going through everything, going, okay, locked in, we're done. And then I don't move anything after that. I mean, I've even gotten to the point where most of my hunt teams have dedicated sets of gear, so I'm not even moving anything on that. So my gold income is going to be a lot bigger than that mid-game player who got an upgrade and has to move things back and forth, or they're actually upgrading gear. I'm real picky now. Like, I mean, I buy charm packs, right? I didn't even bother to buy the charm packs this month yet because I still have charms left from last month. So my gold income is exponentially higher because I'm not moving everything around. So like one said, I would be fine with like having that cost. I mean, you still have to have a gold sink because if there's no gold penalty, like he said, I would literally just move my infinitely the best gear I have to the teams that I'm going to use for every guild war.
Yeah, I think that also you're right in that new players are overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that they have to upgrade, especially because now they get like 3 or 4. I think it's 3 like free sets, entire sets that they're just like, okay, go plus 15 it, and like a lot of the problems that I see when people are failing in Wyverns is they'll show me their gear and it's like plus 9, and they're like, I don't have any gold.
Yeah.
I'm just right. Like, so I think that the people who are having that issue are us, right? So even having that is fine. I mean, it's not going to impact us in any way, shape, or form. Realistically, yeah.
Let me address this question real quick in chat because he's basically, there's somebody in chat who's saying, put unequip cost only used on units in Guild War. How is that hard?
Not just Guild Wars.
What is that? One, it's not just Guild Wars. But 2, how would you denote what a Guild War unit is?
Yeah.
Like, would you sign off on a document and be like, okay, I'm using this unit in Guild War forever now. I put the stamp on him. He's a Guild War unit. Using attack or defense, you can use any unit in attack or defense.
How do you denote?
Let me just re-gear before we start. For free, and then I'll do my Guild Wars afterwards.
Like, yeah, the attack one is hard. The attack one is really hard. Like, how do you denote that? Right? Like, how do you tell that a unit is only for Guild War offense? Because if it's only for Guild War's offense, well, I can use one unit everywhere.
The other thing that I was going to say is that I used to be in a guild that was very sweaty in Guild Wars, right? They loved their Guild Wars. They were like, yeah, guys.
Are you not still sweaty?
No, I'm not sweaty at all. I never sweat. I meme my offenses, and I still go 6-0 or 4-2. It doesn't matter. But I'm in Fleet.
It's not that
we're not a guild. We're not a guild.
It's that
Oh.
your system allows me to just re-gear everything before I go in, and I re-gear every single unit that I know. All I do is I look at the guild wars and I say, okay, these are the teams I'm going to build for every single tower that I'm going to hit. Right? I plan these 3 attacks. I change all the gear I need for those 3 attacks, and then I don't have to move any gear. And then once guild wars is done, I just move all of it back, and I'm done. Easy, and it's free because I moved it before I started attacking.
What I was gonna say was that one of the major problems was that I knew a guy who spent all of his gold re-gearing for Guild War every single war. Now I'm not saying that he was in, like, I know the Veritas boys did it as well, but every Guild War, all of his gold, he would farm to get gold to spend it on Guild War. And like, I would look at his gear and I would be like, my dude, he's like, I don't have any gear. I would look at it, I'd be like, wait, you got a boot right over there. You could upgrade, you slap that on there, and now you have that unit built. You could use that unit. And I came back the next day, and it was broken down, and he's like, nah, I need this gear for another unit now that I realized that I had this good piece of gear. And eventually he was just like, I don't want to farm more gear. I don't want to. And he worked, and he didn't want to buy gear packs or anything like that, and he's just like, I don't want to farm more gear. I have these bruiser gear sets, and I'm not going to farm. Okay, so I'm just going to keep switching these around. I'm like, you literally are creating your own issue. And he's like, nah, fuck it. It doesn't matter. Just farm. The whole point of the game is to farm. We're playing a gear gacha. Farm more sets. Get to the point. I know that it's hard starting out. I understand the early game gold problems. But if they were to make a change, it would be lasting at all tiers, right? The goal is that you farm out a set for a unit. You slap it on that unit. You can change it later, but you slap it on that unit, and that's their set. They're shipped off. Okay? You farm more sets. Defeats the purpose if you're just going to change all the gear in between the units all the time. How much do you realistically need to change your gear for your units?
Yeah. The one thing about a cereal, yeah, farmed, crafted, all to lose again.
You guys are toxic.
He wasted so much gold just crafting and like getting a specific thing, and he ended up still
Look, guys, I want you to know that cereal creates the metaphor. He wastes all of his resources so you don't have to. Oh man. Do we have anything else we want to say about this? Because I have one more thing I wanted to bring up. Very light topic.
No,
Very
you
small
can.
quality of life thing.
You can, yeah.
So,
sure.
Do you think there's a point in having different types of each charm? Can we not just have like equipment charms and accessory charms and nothing else? Like, why do we need to have weapon charms and helmet charms and armor charms? Why can't they just be equipment charms or
Literally
accessory
my favorite
charms? Like,
thing
what is the
about charm
point?
pack.
The pay-to-win ones, yeah. The pay-to-win ones are
the
all-inclusive. So,
There's just no point. I mean, you sell charm packs anyways. People will still buy charm packs anyways. It's just like a very light quality of life thing that I think makes a lot of sense for the game.
yeah,
I mean, charms.
it makes sense, yeah, sure. I go for it. I would love it.
Just two different ones, because it does. Yeah, it's annoying when I have like 37 boot charms and like one weapon charm, and I'm like, I'm upgrading weapons right now. Can I just can I trade these boot charms in? like, and then I go, I'm just gonna go buy these charm packs.
Also, alongside that, why can I not feed a boot to a weapon? Why can I only feed a weapon to a weapon?
Yeah, are they that?
Like,
I mean,
why do they have to be that picky? It's all the same. It's all a gold sync.
Hey.
It's all an EXP sync at the same time.
the metal that you have used for your boot is a different metal canonically than the metal that'd be used for a weapon. Come on, it's sharper, so you can't
no,
just
man,
put
it's all just wyvern claws in the end of the day.
I don't know, dude.
You're just slamming some wyvern claws
Actually, you do.
onto a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the day, it's all just the same garbage giant charm. I upgrade a weapon to plus 12, it sucks. Now it's a big charm. It doesn't matter what kind of charm it is, it should just be a charm.
Yeah. No, you're right. I agree.
I don't
Well,
know. I think that'd be a cool quality of life change. I think it would help a lot. I have 0 weapon charms, and I have a
It'd
lot
be
of
nice, I guess.
yeah,
chess
it'd be
pieces that I
nice.
should throw away soon.
Can't
I want to throw
disagree.
most of mine away.
So, that being said, does anybody have anything else that they would like to add? Or anything like that? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I'm holding my peace.
Okay.
I'll hold my peace for 2 weeks.
All right. You got... Oh, it's reversed. You got any peace down there? You got some peace?
Yeah,
He can't see that I'm
pointing.
pointing. Okay. So, anyway, I had a great time with everybody here. I'll give everybody a moment that if they want to say anything, any outros or anything like that, feel free to shout yourself out. Of course, I'm going to leave your information down in the description, but if you all want to say goodbye, say something to chat. Don't all jump on it. OnceInLuv, yeah. Got anything to say?
Not too much. I mean, if you guys ever want to discuss games, regardless of when I'm streaming, you're welcome to come in. We can chat about Epic 7, we can chat about game design, we can chat about the marketing side of stuff. I love to chat about the games. I'm very passionate about gacha games. I'm very passionate about like the marketing aspect of it, as well as the like psychologically what makes a player want to play, what makes a player want to spend, all that stuff. So come by, chat about it. If you guys need anything of like exclusive content or anything, you can go to my OnlyFans, onlyfans.com/xSkyking. Make sure to hit that up.
Hey,
I'm plugging it in right now.
sorry, what?
XSkyking, you want to give a
I got a
little
VIP
bye-bye?
membership.
Yeah, no, I guess if you want to see me destroy accounts, usually I summon for people and get them nothing. I'll craft for people and get them nothing. I'll power up things and get them all the wrong stats. So if you want to see that, yeah, come by my stream. Yeah, usually pretty degenerate. Yeah, we'll talk about anime. We'll talk about plot, personality, and stuff. And
I like plot.
yeah. So I don't know, twitch.tv/xSkyking. You, if you want to join me in my degenerate streams. But yeah, and I still have some crafts for people that are pending. Those are the 100K plus, but I'm kind of wary of those right now.
Ooh, monk
Anyways, yeah, I appreciate you letting me join this. It was nice to chat with friends about the game and whatnot. Always good.
Absolutely. And I'm Shotgun Shogun. I'll be back in 2 weeks.
All right, the podcast is over. Feel free to say goodbye to the YouTube channel. This will be uploaded probably by tomorrow. The discussion doesn't have to end here. If you have any opinions on anything that we've said, feel free to drop it in the comments down below. Leave a like and look inside of the description for the information on all of our wonderful guests. And as always, this has been Cafe Kaz, and thanks for watching.
Subscribe and holla W to Cafe Kaz.
Oh, no.